Our second live stream of the day, our second multi-hour live stream of the day, WCC Media Day. We are in the same place. We have a new background, and we have a new guest, Gonzaga head coach, Mark Few. Mark, I'm not going to lie. It is much nicer having you here than having to deal with this guy for the entire day. I got 8 hours stuck with him.
8 hours? How about that? Imagine dealing with me for 8 hours, Phil.
Yes, he'll be rewarded in the end. That is the work of a saint, my man. That is.
How you doing?
And he'll get, don't think, well, he's going to get surly and salty. Let's hope I'm catching him before he turns surly and salty.
You're good right now.
But
you know what?
Because we know it's in there.
You know what seeing you here reminds me of in Vegas?
No idea.
Really? You really don't?
I mean,
could be many things.
Yes, it could.
One of the first times we met, it was early on, was at a blackjack table.
Yeah.
With who?
That was a good night.
Who was sitting, about 10 feet away from us that night?
Mel Gibson.
Mel Gibson,
yes,
right?
Yes.
And what people don't know is you're a very competitive blackjack player.
As are you.
As everybody, yes.
As are most of us.
That's right. When money's on the line on the table, I think we all get competitive.
Yeah. But I think we had a good night that night.
We did have a good night. Remember, I told
cards were kind to us.
Bill Walker stood up. He got his butt kicked.
Yeah.
I proceeded to go in,
Yeah.
and man, it was a good night.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
I don't want to digress
No,
already.
all right.
But.
What do you got, Rob?
The first thing that he does is he opens it up talking about blackjack. I'm just glad he didn't start talking about pickleball.
That'll
right
be
off the
later.
bat.
That'll be later.
Huh.
He's excited. Listen,
No, I'm not.
how many hours a day do you play?
Not very much
Oh,
lately.
you're so full of crap.
No,
I don't believe you.
I need to play more. Once I get into the rhythm of the season here, where we're not traveling around with
You'll be better.
with all the recruiting and everything going on, then I'm blessed. There's a bunch of really, really good players that around that I'm fortunate enough to play with, and man, they raised my level, and it's a challenge. It's a great workout.
We'll get back to that later.
Okay.
So for the first time in 4 years, you are heading into a basketball season without Drew Timme. Personality, presence, ability. What's it been like around that program?
It's less
fill
Tylenol now.
that void.
He was a joy. I mean, I'm just telling you. I mean, when he walked into the basketball complex, you knew he was there. You could hear him coming a mile away, just with whatever take he had on the particular time of the day. And just, I mean, as I was telling Robbie earlier, even on my surliest, angriest days after, we didn't rebound, we weren't tough, we turned the ball over, and you wanted to make sure they felt your anger, I'd find myself just laughing because he'd say something during one of these practices or film sessions or something that was just so you couldn't help but laugh.
Did it take you a while to understand that and be able to deal with it? I mean,
No, you remember he came in the year he actually came in the COVID year, and we were rolling. We were a number one seed. We might have been the number one overall seed in the whole thing. It was going to depend on whether Big 12 didn't finish their tournament. But his coming out party was Dickie V. Saw him in our league tournament down here, and I think he did typical Drew. He scored like 14 straight points in a row, and I mean he was on a meteoric rise. But so he kind of came in with some veteran guys that year, and was probably understated for Drew. And then
he wasn't that vocal because he was coming in with a veteran group.
I'd say a little bit. I mean, understated for Drew is obnoxious for everybody else, right? But and outspoken. But yeah, for him, yeah. And then obviously, what's crazy is the next year was a 21 year. He was only a sophomore, and everybody
so good that year.
You get the comments that like, man, I can't believe he's still around. I mean, he was a 4-year guy. There was no red shirt. There was no COVID 6-year crap. He wasn't 27. He was a 4-year
not like Hummel.
College
not
player.
like Hummel over there who was 7 years.
I mean, think about that though. So yeah, we miss him. We miss his swag. His swag was contagious within our program. I mean, he made the other people believe that we could beat whoever we were playing, and so
How do you fill that void? The leadership, the presence, Is it by committee? Is there anybody stepping up?
I mean, it's collectively, and it's different. It's it's different with every team, right? And so these guys will figure out their own identity and kind of form that. Obviously, when you bring in somebody like Ryan Nembhard, he's had so many experiences out there. Anton was with Drew every step of the way of this thing. I mean, and like when I say that, I don't think you guys have any idea. They were roommates and the entire time. They were absolutely inseparable. They took every class together.
I didn't know that.
Yes. And in the off season, Anton would go down and hang out with Drew in Dallas, or Drew would be up with Anton hanging out in Spokane and Coeur d'Alene. They were inseparable. And so obviously, Anton will be a big part of our leadership this year and our success this year.
When you got Nembhard, obviously that filled a huge void. I mean, he's one of the best point guards in the country. We know it. I mean, what he did last year, Creighton almost taken to the Final Four.
Probably the hardest thing was, as I understand, you had predicted that he was going somewhere else.
I did.
Quite some time.
To my alma mater, I did.
Yeah. Shocking.
You beat Tommy Lloyd. I mean, like, that was a battle. I want to know, are you guys still talking?
Oh, we're great. Tommy's the best,
sure?
man.
I mean,
no, it wasn't maybe a battle in your mind, but I mean, it was Tommy's the
I really
best.
did think he was going there.
No.
I think you made a late surge.
I don't think you knew what you were talking about. So
that commonly happens.
Yeah.
See, there's Hummel. Look at him. He doesn't even work. Dude,
he's a guy.
What is he doing?
No,
here?
I'm telling you, he's a.
Yes.
Mark,
I don't want to tell him that.
I want to ask you about. I'm going to cut him off because he's going to ask about some
I
nonsense.
was going to ask about Nembhard.
No, but I want to know about Tommy, because we talked with him yesterday, and he was as loose, as jovial as I think I've ever seen him in an interview. The success that he's had right away, he was on your staff for like 19, 20 years.
Yeah.
I'm sure he had opportunities to get jobs. Maybe not the right opportunity.
Yeah.
That's why he's at Arizona. Are you surprised by the level of success? And when you watch him, like, how does it feel watching him turn Arizona back into Arizona?
No, I'm not surprised at all. I mean, he was a huge part of our success, as well as Leon's walking around here, and I think we're prisoners of the present or the moment, and you forget the run like Leon had as an assistant at Gonzaga and the run he's at Boise State. I mean, Boise State's not quite as gifted in the hierarchy as Arizona is, when you walk into those situations. So, but no, not surprised at all. I mean, Tommy's the real deal in every facet. Recruiting, he's a total bulldog in recruiting. Great at evaluating, good game planner, good at scouts, and it's fun to watch them. I mean, they play like us, so it's fun to see him running up and down the floor, and he's, had some great talent there this whole time. He's developed some great talent there. So, families are still close and everything. So
getting back to Nembhard.
Yeah.
How different is he from his brother? Obviously, his brother had a hell of a career after transferring in. You're hoping to do the same thing with Ryan, but they're different.
Yeah, they're different, but they're also similar. I mean, it's unbelievable whatever Claude and Mary did up there. Their feel for the game it's crazy. I mean, it's at the highest level. It really, truly is. It's great to see what Andrew's been able to do that next level, and he's almost even better with the space at that level. There's so much more space. And, Ryan's feel, the way he plays with pace, I mean, the way he makes – I mean, you guys will see this year just even the impact he has on Nolan Hickman. I mean, Nolan's playing the best he's ever played right now, and it's because he's running alongside Ryan, And
Makes life easier for
he
everybody.
Really does, and I think it's actually freed up Nolan to probably play more natural position and not have to worry about setting up the offense or breaking a press and stuff like that. And, but, yeah, I mean, they're totally different bodies, shapes, and sizes, but, man, that feel for the game and passing, it's the same. Yeah, man.
Graham EK, when he was at Wyoming, the last year before he got hurt, was basically a 20-10 guy.
Yeah.
Right? Then he has to sit out the season. It was it a shoulder?
Foot.
It was the foot.
Yeah.
What have you seen out of him? Is he back healthy? He's a great low post scorer. I know you love those low post
Yes.
scorers.
Yeah, I mean, we've been really, really, really conservative with bringing him along. So we practiced him hard in the summer and then kind of tailed it off, and now we're in the process of kind of amping it back up for this season. So I think our expectation is that he is going to be. I think he's good enough to be a 2010 type guy for us also. And as you know, we're going to throw the ball in there and give him those touches and those opportunities. But yeah, it'll be interesting, again, just kind of integrating into the whole thing, especially, like in our situation, we got to be good. We don't have the luxury of like kind of easing into this thing. We got to be good all year. Right, we don't get to just, kind of tinker and toy and do stuff in the preseason and then get ready for our league season. We got to be good early November to hopefully April 1st.
Do you think he'll play the season opener?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's what you hope.
That's the plan. Yeah. So he's going to be a big key. Obviously, Ryan will be a big key. Anton's going to be a big key. We've got some good play out of Braden Huff so far. He redshirted last year, but I think he's one of those guys that we've had. He's not Drew Timmy at all, but he's got a ball that goes in. He can kind of shoot it and throw it up there any way he wants, and it just goes in. So we'll try to play off that.
So my colleague Seth Davis at the Messenger put out a story that Big 12, Gonzaga. I mean, you hear it all the time now. Like every league, right? Every league, Big East, Big 12. Yeah. I mean, who knows? You could end up in the Summit League. I don't know. But again,
here we are, WCC Media Day. So it's about the WCC.
But you still got to ask.
But it's just the same stuff.
Yeah.
So until there's something to report on, you report on it. And fortunately, all of us have graduated from scooping.
Yeah.
And are moving on to like, okay, man, we got games starting in a couple of weeks here, and
worry about that.
More seasons, and yeah. So that's kind of.
Does it phase you at all anymore?
Not really. No. I think you just when you've done
not much phases you anyway.
When you get to this point, you just kind of try to major in the major and minor in the minors. And like, okay, it's time to. We got to get these guys ready, and finish up recruiting and then get these guys ready. And I tend to simplify my life as much as I can,
Yes, you do. No doubt about that.
They asked me in there, what 3 things would you change? And I said, I wish I'd be a better listener. And
what else?
I wish I'd be more patient. And I said, and the third one, I want to say I wish I'd be more organized, but I really don't wish I'd be more organized. I figured that would just cause more stress.
Right,
so
exactly.
I'm good.
How old are you now? What are you?
I identify as a 42-year-old, I say. Yeah, that's the kind of guys I play pickleball with, I mountain bike with, still trying like crazy to wake surf with my kids. And, so that's who I got to be.
So – I think with everything changing over the last couple of years, I had a long conversation with Tony Bennett at the Peach Jam about just kind of how everything has changed and how, guys that have been in it for a while, like Tony, like you. Tony's a little bit younger than you, by the way, in case you didn't know.
He's got hair the color of yours, though.
He's got great hair. He's got better hair than me. But like how everything that's changing now could – we've seen it. We've seen it with Roy Williams, right? We've seen it with Jay Wright.
Yeah.
Guys going out a little bit quicker than they probably would otherwise. How much do you think about that? Or are you just on a year-to-year deal right now, kind of and evaluate every year?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I think you got to – we maybe have speculated that that's why they went out, or maybe that they were always thinking that way or feeling that way or whatever. It's so unique to each person what they want to do with their life. No, listen, these are really weird, complicated times for what we're used to. But if you do think back to what Roy went through, what Coach K went through, what Boeheim went, all the changes that they saw during their careers, and I always just am in awe of how they just kind of flawlessly adapted. They just
These are big ones, though, all at once.
They are, but I think at the time they probably felt theirs were big ones too, but they are big, and they're weird. It's still weird to me talking about NIL and the recruiting process. It just doesn't feel right in my stomach. But I also know that if we can ever get it properly, organized and adjudicated or whatever you want to say, that it's a good thing. But it's pretty crazy right now. So
last one I got for you, and then we got to let you go.
Yeah.
Jeff always says this. You've managed to find a work-life balance that is better than just about anybody in an industry where there is no work-life balance for most college basketball coaches. Just what is the advice that you would give to people, young coaches, young people that are trying to go into different industries where you got to work 80, 90-hour weeks? How did you manage that? How did you develop it? What advice would you give to young people?
I mean, I think that's just who I am, So if that's not how they're wired, like I kind of said earlier, I think it's probably a weakness if it was in another industry, or maybe probably would be a weakness if it was at another school or program or whatever. But for me, like, I just try to boil this thing down to do the big things, and then I just don't sweat the little things, I don't have 1 ounce of anal retentiveness in me whatsoever. And so I just focus on that. I focus on the players. I focus on a relationship. Look, you got to recruit. He and I have had this talk over the years. He used to chide me. I don't need to get at the gym 20 minutes before and be the first one at the gym. I'm going to go watch Rob Dauster, and if he's a good player, I'm going to say, hey, you're a good player. I don't feel like I have to come watch you 25 times. That might, if that hurts me in recruiting, you're not going to work at Gonzaga anyway. So I feel like I think if you just, are yourself and don't try to live up to maybe this standard of sleeping in the office and all that. And then I really think, I know this for a fact, man, the number one job in my life is to be a great husband, to be a great father, and just to be a great, coach to these players. And that's it, man. And it's all this other stuff I don't feel like that's a big part of who I need to be. And I got it, and fly fishing and pickleball and all that stuff is part of that. It just, my guys will tell me, my wife will tell me, like, the day I went fishing the other day on our day off. I come back and that turnover doesn't bother me as much as it did the day before I left. So they know it.
Can we lock you in for the coaches pickleball tournament? If you're not in the Final Four, can we lock you in this year? Like, we need you to start this thing so we can get it moving. Tommy was
Remember when I
non-committal.
just said I major in the majors? And this is definitely.
But I need you locked in.
You got it.
All right, you're in.
No, you're in. You don't need me to run it for you.
No, we're going to run it.
You got this.
I need you to show up. I need you to be kind of the cornerstone guy that then everybody wants to beat you. I'm gonna build you up as that guy.
I do. I'm a man of my word, so I hate to make commitments that I might not be able to keep.
So you're saying you're gonna walk out?
I'm not saying anything. I might just show up. Back to the organizational piece we talked about. I might just show up.
Like you commit to your daily pickleball routine.
The one thing that I hate that does is when I see things on the calendar that might lock me in from doing something else. I don't like that. I like unaccountability. So I like pickleball. I love coaches and I love all the people. I love having fun.
Pretend it's like a meeting that you can't get out of. Pretend it's a meeting.
I don't want it to be like that. Yeah, it'll just be a improvisational.
Who would you play with?
I'll play with Rob.
You can't play with Rob. He can't play. He'll hold you back.
We'll be fine.
I've never touched a pickleball racket in my life, and I'm better than you.
No, you'd be terrible.
We'll be fine.
All right, we're told you got to get out of here. All right, great seeing
guys. You. Yeah,
thanks for coming on.
Yeah, you bet.
Thanks for joining us, and I'm locking you in. So I don't care what you say.
Do what you got to do. All right, guys.
Thanks, Mark.
Yeah, you bet.
Obviously, Mark Few, head coach of the Gonzaga Bulldogs. They were our pick in the Almanac to win the WCC regular season title. They were not.
But it's not going to be easy.
Yeah, but what I was going to say is they were not the I guess, is it coaches, the media, the WCC official preseason poll actually has St. Mary's as the favorite to win the league. 5 people picked the Gales, 4 people picked the Zags. We picked the Zags. We did not pick the Gales. I do think that it is.
It's like, honestly, it's like splitting hairs right now between those two. You know, which is cool, which is great for the conference, to be honest, because there's a lot of years that you know, it's gone in and you're like, all right, Gonzaga's heads and shoulders above St. Mary's. Mm-hmm. That is not the case this year. Like, Randy Bennett's got a hell of a team this year coming back.
Aidan Mahaney.
Right.
We'll
talk to him later.
Saxon.
You know,
and your favorite player in college basketball, Alex Ducas. Yeah. We're going to see him.
Yeah,
we're going to have a chance to talk to him.
I'm going to hit him with a hard-hitting question, too. The question is, if Alex Ducas doesn't get hurt, here we go. UConn doesn't win the national title. It's simple. It's not even a question. It's a statement. It's a statement. We're going to talk to him about that later.
Is that a tease right there?
I don't know if it's a teaser or not, but
is that one of your favorite famous teasers?
It is. Here's the thing with Gonzaga that worries me a little bit, Rob. They don't have a lot of depth.
Yes.
They do 100%. Not have a lot of depth. So they can't really sustain an injury to like Watson. Somebody like Graham Ike is already hurt, right? He said, if you read between the lines there a little bit, right? He was hurt. He started to come back. Then he got hurt again. It sounded like a little bit of a setback, and now they're ramping him back up.
Big guys and feet.
Exactly.
Big guys and feet.
And they need him badly. So I don't know. I mean, again, I just think when you don't have depth there,
it's not that they don't.
They don't have proven depth.
They don't have proven depth, and I do think that
I like Ben Gregg
at a certain point, we do kind of have to look at the Gonzaga program as a whole and kind of say, like, okay, look, they develop from within. They have guys from within. There's a reason why they have turned into a top 8 program in college basketball over the course of the last decade and a half. But it is something that if I was a Gonzaga fan, I would be somewhat concerned about. Who do you have with you?
I picked St. Mary's.
You picked St. Mary's?
I did. Yeah, I picked St. Mary's.
Talk me through that decision.
I just think they have more depth. And honestly, again, I just worried about an injury with Gonzaga. And listen, you've got a completely new team there, right? I mean, a lot of guys have played a lot of minutes, but they've all been kind of thrown together, right? Where St. Mary's returns a lot of guys. They've already got more continuity as a group.
And they return the preseason player of the year in Aidan Mahaney. And
wow, he's the preseason player of the year.
I do think that it's an interesting conversation to have.
Is that
there, right?
Ours?
Ours is Aidan Mahaney as
theirs?
the preseason player of the year. Dagan is going to bring it up here on the graphic here in just a second.
All right, I'd like to see it.
But I do.
There it is.
Yeah,
well, there's the
Aidan Mahaney
preseason team.
The thing about it is
my boy Kelly LePepe is on there.
They also have a 10-team preseason.
Oh, right. They do.
First team.
That's true. I don't think they have a preseason player of the year, do they?
Yeah. It's Aidan Mahaney for us. You know what we're going to do? We're going to give it to the Almanac. The Almanac is to say what the preseason first team or the preseason player of the year is. And so they have a 10-team first team. But I will say this. There are 3 members of the Gales on the first team on the WCC team. Yeah, out of the 10.
How do you feel about 10-member teams, preseason all league teams?
I'm trying to be.
Why not just break it up? It's 5 on the first, 5 on the second.
I like a 10-team first team more than I like a 6-team.
That's kind of weird.
First team.
I know. I don't love that either. I don't like that either. What's with Hummel's? What's with the sweatshirt? The reigning champ.
Says reigning
you want to come over?
He's never won anything in his entire life. He's never won anything in his entire life.
Good. We'll talk to you later.
What's up, Randy?
We'll be way better to talk to than Hummel was.
Yeah, our next guest here.
I'm only going to be here for a minute. Where's my pen cap? I threw it at you.
I know. I caught it.
I was shocked.
You shouldn't have thrown a pen cap at somebody.
I was thinking about throwing it from over the top, but I was like, if I get kicked out of WCC Mountain West Media Day, That would not be a good start to my time out here.
No, probably not.
Yeah, I did.
Your new gig.
So I walked about halfway across the room and pelted you.
You did. You got me right in the gullet.
How do you like my sweatshirt?
How you
I saw
doing
you
here?
hating on it.
How you doing?
I'm good.
Yeah, you working hard?
Is this scotch?
It is not Scotch. It is not. It's straight Diet Coke.
I'm
Nice.
glad. I'm just glad, that you're making your way into this media business. That when you come to important events like WCC Media Day, like Pac-12 Media Day, that you dress up, that you look the
What's
part.
up with that?
Well, I was told that
of
I
a
could go more
big-time
casual
media
for serious.
professional
I wasn't on camera.
For
It's
NBC
just
Sports,
it's the voice that really is doing the
Oh,
work.
that's what everybody wants.
Yeah.
This is what they're looking
the
for here.
sultry
So.
tones
The-
of Robbie Hummel.
yes,
I
Barry
can't
Manilow
believe
style.
we trust you solo over there.
I'm
Like,
a beast.
it's
I'm a
amazing.
beast at hosting. Maybe I should just
You're
do my
honestly
own
better than
podcast.
Goodman.
No, I know.
It's not
I know
hard.
I am.
It's not
I know.
hard to be.
Jeff's like, welcome to the Goodman and Hummel podcast
All
for
right.
another day.
That's what we do.
No, I
You
like
got
just
it.
chilling though.
You
I
got
like
it.
chilling with
It's
Jeff.
all you.
How about I was ready to do a podcast yesterday, talk some Pac-12, talk about
Goodman
previewing
bailed.
this, and Jeff's like, let's not do one. I'm tired.
Goodman
I had to write a story.
On
I
what?
had to write a story in the Pac-12.
Oh.
Media Day.
All right. Well,
I worked.
Jeff had to work.
Grinded it out.
Yeah, you're a real grinder.
Did
Why'd
I?
you spill on yourself?
Did I?
Did you see who I met last night?
What?
Did you see who I met last night?
No.
No. I don't follow you on Twitter.
Who'd you mean?
Okay. Carrot Top.
No, you didn't.
What?
Where?
Yeah, I got a photo
You
with
were
him.
walking around?
No, I went to his show. So Mike Mazvinsky, who's the boss at SiriusXM,
Yeah. Took
He-
you to Carrot Top?
he asked me, he goes, do you like Carrot Top? And I was like, well, yeah, he's cool. Like, I don't know much. I've seen him in movies. I've seen some of his stand-up stuff. He goes, yeah, I'm friends with this manager. We can go if you want. So we went, and then we went backstage and hung out with him for like an hour.
Is he jacked?
Jacked.
No, he's not.
Yeah, he's jacked.
He's jacked?
He's jacked, yeah. I thought he'd be taller. I feel like when you see him, I always thought he was
Yeah.
a little taller. He's got the big afro or whatever. But no,
Good
he
guy?
super nice,
Really?
super
Really?
nice.
I
So
love that
Carrot
that's
Top.
your flex. You come to Las Vegas and you're like, guess who I met? And I'm like,
He makes like $8 million a year. What do you mean? He's got a
resident.
residency. You think that dude's not getting
That's
paid?
right. That's right. Where was it?
He did 6 shows. It was at the Luxor. So yeah, that's why I wasn't hanging out with you scrubs at the whatever
And
table
then
you were
what,
losing.
what do you
money
got after today?
at. I'm going home tonight. I'm
Right on?
doing a show. No, I'm leaving at like 6. I'm doing a show tomorrow, and then I've got 3 Bulls games next week: Sunday,
That's right.
Tuesday,
That's
Thursday.
right.
I work hard.
You got to learn 20
This
players.
dude, Mr. Charleston,
I'm not
himself.
ready. I'm grinding. I'm here. I was in Sioux Falls.
Congrats. Yeah, and you were hating.
No,
Dude,
not
I was out.
hating.
I was out
I
there
love Sioux Falls.
playing. No, I'm talking about the photo you tweeted.
Yeah, well, just
And then you got all sensitive. You got all sensitive when I
Well,
quote tweeted that it was
I
softball
do
chump.
Actually, I'm glad that you brought this up because I did want to ask you about this.
What is lack of defense?
No,
How great that
no.
I'm immortalized in the
so
Pentagon for
you
that
are-
play.
You are immortalized.
That held
You are
defense was
immortalized at
tremendous.
the Sanford-
I'm at the nail. I'm at the nail.
You're immortalized at the Sanford Pentagon. They have you on the wall,
I know.
and Purdue won't build you a statue.
Oh,
Are you
God.
offended?
There we go. The statue thing.
Statue's
It's
never
run its
gonna
course.
die.
It's run its
Never gonna
course.
die.
It's run its course.
But
I don't
it
deserve a
has, but-
statue.
I mean, I can't wait till how many days? It's like a month from today that we will be in West Lafayette. You won't because you're not even a fan of your alma mater.
What do
You
you
have an
mean?
off day and you're not even going to go to the Xavier Purdue game.
I'll be at the Pentagon, I think, actually.
What?
What day is that?
13th.
November 13th.
I think I'll be at the Sanford Pentagon that day. So
Are you going to the Champions
going back to my
Classic?
roots.
Are you going to the, can you get a picture? You go on the
Going
wall.
back to my roots.
Can you take a picture in front of the picture?
I'll be searching for a photo of Jeff writing his notes as he watches the game because he was such a good player. You know, like that's probably like.
Can you take a picture in front of your picture on the wall?
Yeah, sure, I will.
And then, you know that people are going to go up there and they're going to say, you know who I met? And then everyone's going to be like, you meet Jim Mahaney? What do you mean, Scott Drew? I met Robbie Hummel.
I think I had at least 8 points in that preseason game. At least.
Was it a real game?
No, it's preseason.
Yes.
Me and Stephen Graham were matched up.
You and Stephen Graham.
Yeah,
What is that name?
for a while.
Oklahoma State,
Yes.
right?
Yeah, Oklahoma State. Now he's a player development guy for Denver.
What have you learned here today? What is the number one thing you've learned?
I don't know. No, I've learned. You're putting me on the spot. I've done like 20 interviews. My
All right, how
brain
about
is
this?
like
How about
fried.
this? How about this? St. Mary's and Gonzaga are kind of split at the top.
Yeah, yeah.
5 people pick St. Mary's in the official WCC poll. We had Gonzaga in the Almanac /Field 68 poll. Who do you have winning the WCC and why?
I'm going to go.
Goodman has St. Mary's.
I'm going to go
winning a
St.
national
Mary's
title.
too, just because I love the way they defend. And I know they lost 2 guys and 2 seniors that were a really big part of that. But I think Randy Bennett, the way he coaches and gets the most out of those guys is pretty incredible. He's got good senior leadership. You've got a point guard, which Jeff will be like, point guards win games in March. I've heard him say that a million times. I was surprised actually seeing Aidan Mahaney in person. He is a killer on the court. He looks like he's like 16 years old.
I know.
He is like the baby-faced assassin out here. And I think Gonzaga is going to have a really
Robbie
nice.
Hummel is saying that you look young, you know that you look young.
Yeah, no question.
Gonzaga is going to have a great year too.
They're deeper.
Yes.
That's where
I agree. I just think they have so many guys that can get you. And Gonzaga's got some moving parts. You know, Anton Watson's back, but you're integrating a new point guard, even if he is super talented, and Ryan Nembhard. I'm going to give the advantage to St. Mary's, but I think Gonzaga will be right there too.
See, I differ in that a little bit, where I would say that St. Mary's is probably in line for a better seed in the NCAA tournament because so much of what you have to do as a member of the WCC is in the non-conference, right? You got to win a lot of big games in the non-conference, and I think we're going to see a little
Gonzaga's got a gauntlet.
Yeah,
I mean, Maui is a gauntlet,
and I think they're going to have.
And they always do. But
have a learning curve. They have 3 new pieces. You have Nolan Hickman stepping into a bigger role. You don't have Drew Timme. Graham Ike, as Coach Wu just told us, has not been. They're bringing him along slowly, coming off this foot injury. I think there's going to be a learning curve.
Mark Few's got to be like, what did Maui seed us?
Yeah.
What seed did we get at Maui? Yeah, that's tough. The West Coast Conference, I think, I knew this, but I think it really backed it up for me just from looking through all these teams to get ready for this. The depth is phenomenal. The depth of this league is really good. And I don't think anyone in the Midwest or the East Coast appreciates the WCC for that. They think of it as the top is good. But I think when you look at who is in this league, the depth is what stands out. There are a lot of good teams in this conference.
The problem is everybody, we talked about this with the Mountain West, is that so much of the casual basketball fans' opinion of the sport is what happens in the NCAA tournament. And when you're in the WCC, and it's nearly impossible to get to the NCAA tournament if you're not Gonzaga or St. Mary's or BYU.
And on top of that, get a seed where you are going to be favored. I mean, that's half the battle too. And I think the Big Ten has fought this, especially last year, where it's like, well, only Michigan State gets the second weekend, but they didn't do enough in the non-conference and in conference play to get some 2 seeds, 3 seeds. You know, you have Purdue as a 1 that obviously didn't work out. But on top of that, you've got a lot of 8.
I love yes.
You got a lot of 7, 8, 9 seeds where it's like, well, they're not supposed to.
You get so scared of his fan base.
All right, good podcast, guys. Does this count for me this week?
He gets
This counts for me.
Does that count?
This counts.
No,
I'm not coming back this week
for this crap.
I want to play golf and just work my other jobs. That's what dude. How good was the simulator at Pac-12 Media Day yesterday?
We saw Goodman swing.
I was in there just lacing 3 irons, out there.
Hummel,
I mean, your game. You've actually worked.
I actually have a real question for you, Robbie. I have a real question for you.
We got Stu Jackson.
What do you think? What do you think is more?
Let's get rid of
his
the
pickleball
excess.
backhand or his golf swing.
Both. He's terrible at all sports.
Pickleball.
All right,
I'm going to
Stu Jackson
destroy
awaits.
you. I'm going to destroy you.
Jeff, you're not good at sports.
I'm going to destroy you.
Okay.
He can dunk a basketball and throw a football 65 yards.
Is there a pickleball court around here?
Robbie Hummel. I'm sorry you have to go on with these guys.
Thanks for being here.
No, happy to be here. I'll let you take that over.
All right, now
he's our producer, by the way.
we finally have somebody of substance here.
What's up, man?
How are you?
Good.
You are
How
live.
you doing?
You're live
Good
on.
to see you, man.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I would say you.
Say it
My
anyway.
man
I
on
know.
the-
I'm just wondering, just in case. I'm giving you a little bit of a, how are you? This is weird.
Good.
This is strange still, looking at you as the WCC Commissioner.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Is it like comfortable now?
It fits like a glove. I mean, honestly, though, listen, the first few months were really just a fire drill, and trying to get acclimated to the conference, understand all the issues that we're facing in collegiate sports, and trying to move from one coast to the next coast. It was a little bit daunting, but we've at least slowed down to a little bit of a cadence, and I feel like I've got at least one foot planted. So it's been good.
Well, it's hard. I mean, listen, even again, figuring out the league, and then there's figuring out the whole landscape of everything and where it fits in, right? As a commissioner now, it's so different because you better be proactive, right? I mean, if you're not, who knows what can happen to you in your league.
Listen, you are preaching to the congregation. I mean, look, we all went through this most recent realignment, and if I had $1 for every article that I read about what some people perceive as the Pac-12's missteps because they waited, I'd be a rich guy. So it's really important, to your point, that we're proactive, that we understand what the landscape is, that information is key, and that as a conference, we just aggressively keep looking to improve ourselves, to make ourselves more stable.
When you say that you need to be proactive and aggressive, what does that look like?
Well, it means, and I alluded to this, understanding the landscape to just identify where you might strategically and smartly be proactive. Right now, by way of example, we're 9 schools. And from the coaches to the athletic directors in our conference, all the way to the presidents, they all agree 9's not a sustainable number because it makes you vulnerable. It makes you vulnerable to teams that are at the top of your conferences. It makes conferences vulnerable for teams at the bottom who just, may throw their hands up in the air and say, listen, I'm cutting sports. So we need more members. And, identifying who those members are and their willingness to perhaps partner with us it's an everyday focus.
How quickly would you like to expand? I mean, it sounds like, hey, this is something you got to figure out who it is, try to get them, but how quickly do you want to move on this?
One thing we've learned in this landscape, and this, there's no timetable. I mean, it could happen in a week, it could happen in 4 months, and it not, if you add multiple members, Big 12 case in point, sometimes they're staggered. They don't all come at once. So that's just something that remains to be seen.
Would you like to be at 12? Is that like a number that yes? I mean, it sounds like if it fits.
Yeah, if it fits. Yeah, if it fits.
You're not going to take somebody just to take somebody.
No, and certainly basketball, being basketball-centric, basketball performance, or at least the prospect of basketball performance has to be a chief criteria.
Yep.
So I think the WCC is in a very interesting position. We were just talking about this a little bit with Robbie, in that the teams in the middle of the conference are, I would say, much improved versus what they were maybe 8, 10, 12 years ago. But you don't get the same kind of public knowledge of that, because so much of what the casual basketball fan sees is what happens in the NCAA tournament. And when you are a league like the WCC and you have a Gonzaga and a St. Mary's, it is very, very difficult for anybody else in that league to, one, get to the tournament, and then two, be in a position where you have a great chance and a great seed to get to the second weekend. What can you do to help provide exposure for the rest of those teams, to help be able to increase the likelihood that they get at large bids? How do you go about balancing that?
Yeah, it's a great question. Certainly, in terms of the visibility factor, having people like yourselves out here today for our media day is just one small step to helping that initiative. But when you look at our actual schools and what they can do and what we can do as a conference, you can really break it down into 2 areas, don't you? And one is through scheduling, and the strength of our conference is. The strength of anything is both a strength and a weakness. Yes, we're a very good basketball conference, but the weakness is sometimes our schools have difficulty scheduling, other schools of our level and above. And so we need to look at how we can correct that. And I don't know what that looks like. Is it a scheduling alliance with another conference? Maybe that's a possibility. It may be adding new members, as we just discussed, to enhance that a little bit. So, I think you need to look at it in both ways, and as a conference, what we can do to help them with that, whether it is just to continue to improve our own externals, to help our schools recruit, if it's to bring in new members, to strengthen the depth of the conference, that would help, or if it's a scheduling alliance to improve our strength of schedule, that would help. But all those options need to be on the table for us.
Stu, what was the biggest reason you took this job? You know, I mean, again, obviously you've been in basketball forever. Forever.
Yeah.
Different jobs, different levels, different leagues, everything. Why was this job so attractive for you?
You know, first and foremost, Jeff, I mean, the challenge of it. I was in need of a new challenge, and this looked like a perfect fit because of the synergy between the two conferences, the one I came from in the Big East, and certainly the WCC. And then also just I really believe this conference, and this is not commissioner speak. This conference historically has performed very, very well in other sports. We all know that. You know, we've competed Elite Eights, Final Fours for national championships in a variety of different sports, whether it be soccer, volleyball, golf, or whatever. And if we can move the needle from a basketball standpoint, I think the summation of the improvement in men's and women's basketball combined with our historical performance in other sports can make this a very powerful conference. And then, you know, one of the other reasons is also, Jeff, I got 3 grandkids up in Portland that I don't get to see nearly enough.
Really?
And, I happen to have a
that's a hell of a reason.
So, you know, that was a moving factor.
That's awesome. That's actually great.
What's your grandfather nickname? What do they call you?
Papa.
Papa?
Yeah. Pop, not pop, pop. Papa.
Papa?
Yeah. Kind of the Spanish version.
What's your take when you see all these, you know, speculation with Gonzaga, and it's not going to end? We know the speculation. Who knows where it'll end?
Yeah.
What do you think when you see, you know, you hear it? Again, you were in the Big East, so you heard it that way for the last few years.
Yeah. No, good point. I mean, listen, Jeff. I mean, to put it in some perspective, right? Ever since Gonzaga became Gonzaga we know today back in 2017, they have been courted by conferences, of actually 5 of them to be exact, 3 pretty consistently over those years. This is just another year and another conference that is having conversations with them. At the end of the day, it gets down to, you know, what makes sense for Gonzaga, right? If I'm them, of course I'm going to listen. At the end of the day, it becomes a financial decision. For me, as Commissioners Conference, again, control what you can control. Perhaps we make it more attractive for a team like Gonzaga to stay, you know, by strengthening, you know, our own selves. And they're a very valued member of our conference. We have them today, and I suspect we're going to have them tomorrow. What the future holds, we will deal with it if and when that day arrives.
Let's say we made you be the commissioner of college basketball as a whole. Just in theory, position obviously doesn't exist, partly just because we don't want him to campaign for that role. But what is
he's got my vote.
With all hell would break loose.
With the transfer portal where it is, with NIL where it is, with realignment where it is, what would you be doing to kind of better the sport of college basketball as a whole?
No, it's a very interesting question, and I think there is some merit to, you know, one day perhaps bifurcating, you know, basketball and football. And I'm going to be biased and somewhat selfish, and I'll qualify my answer that way, is that basketball could use its own voice with respect to many of the issues just mentioned. You know, NIL and basketball and football, they're different animals. The transfer portal in basketball and football are different animals. I mean, the football has 2 transfer portals, and legislation around the transfer portal for both sports is very different. Just having a basketball-only, you know, entity conceptually may make some sense. You know, and I don't know what the structure would look like, but listen, already we're in a situation where the media rights have always been separated. And you have to ask yourself, as the NCAA looks at its next media rights deal, what's it going to look like with respect to men's basketball? We know it's going to be great. But hey, by the way, women's sports right now, including women's basketball, is at an inflection point that I think may have it may be undervalued.
Yeah.
It may have some greater value. And I don't know that necessarily all football schools are going to be as keenly focused on it as a conference like the WCC would be.
Yeah, that's a good point. No, you're right. I mean, listen, again, so much is changing right now. Like, I don't envy you for having honestly, all conference commissioners, because your head's got to be spinning.
Yeah.
With everything that's going on, again, protecting your own investment, trying to get ahead and make sure that again, you're thinking forward, because if you're not, who knows what can happen. Were you on staff with Herb?
I was.
Right, at Providence?
I absolutely was.
Give me a Herb story. Give me a good Herb story.
I'll give you a good story in Herb. So when I arrived at Providence College, we were both on staff.
Okay.
I didn't know Herb. So Rick introduced us, and he introduced Herb. He says, he had just graduated from college. I think he was Magnum cum laude from Carnegie Mellon, right?
Carnegie Mellon.
Carnegie Mellon. Great introduction. After we got away from the boss, Rick, I said to her, "What the hell are you doing here? Why do you want to coach?" Because he obviously was a lot smarter than I was, and truth be told, a lot smarter than our entire staff. But it turned out he was an excellent basketball coach, and he taught me a lot, even being younger than me at the time. Very smart individual, very diligent, extremely hardworking, thinks very strategically, very good technically, and I just feel fortunate to have a friendship with him.
It's got to be cool for you now.
It's so cool.
Come back out.
It's so cool.
He's done a great job lately too.
Yeah, he really has. He called me as I was talking to the WCC about the job, and he said, "Man," he was trying to pump up the WCC. "You got to come out here." And I said, "Well, Herb, I don't know, but we'll see what happens." And fortunately, we've been rejoined.
Tournament expansion. It's something that's kind of been discussed about for a while. Do you see that happening? Is that something that you would advocate for? It would be very difficult for us to change our mic flags if we go to 76 or 80. So just keep that in mind when you make the decision. But where do you see that headed?
I don't know enough about it right now to say that I would advocate for it, but there's a pathway there, with some restrictions. On one side, you've got the Masters. That's not moving.
No, it is not.
Okay. And then on the backside, the other boundary is the selection show, which does it move? Does it go away? Do you give yourself extra days to fit a larger field? But let's say in a perfect world, you don't want to give up the selection show. It's a great day, not only for basketball, but around the country. You could conceivably expand to 3 more locations for the first 4 and get to 80.
I have a pitch for you. Tell me what you think about this. You expand to 76. You have 4 locations, 4 teams that each play what amounts to a 4-team MTE. Back-to-back days, Tuesday and Wednesday. The winner of those 4-team tournaments gets slotted in as all of the 11 seeds. And that's how you qualify for the tournament. Instead of having a playing game, you go to Dayton, Sioux Falls, the Palestra, wherever, 4 college basketball-centric places, play 4 4-team tournaments, have them be the last seeds, and it can only be high major at-larges. We're not putting any other automatic bids in there. We're letting all of these teams that earn their right in the tournament get their chance to play.
Mine's better. I have a better. My idea is easier, quicker, better.
I can't do the calculus on the units.
Me either.
Versus a straight 80, but yeah, it's intriguing.
I would just go playing 8 spots, 8 high majors against 8 mids. And I think people would be more intrigued by that. I think people would be more like, I want to watch this. Because that's always the argument on Selection Sunday, right?
Yeah.
Do you put the mids in, or are you putting the Big East, 7th place team in, right?
But a high major to mid kind of matchup would be intriguing. Yeah.
I'd watch that. I don't want to watch, no offense, I don't want to watch the Big East 7th place team against the ACC 9th place team.
You didn't want to watch Fairleigh Dixon and
no, I do. That's what I'm saying.
Last year?
I want to watch that. I want to watch a Cinderella or a WCC fourth team to me against a big, because again, that's the argument always.
Yeah.
The argument is always, all right, well, who's better? Who deserves to get in? And you can't measure them because, again, your schools don't get the same opportunities. We're going to talk to Herb here in a minute. Like, who wants to play Herb?
Yeah.
You don't want to play Herb right now?
No.
Nobody's coming. Nobody's going to Santa Clara to play him.
Yeah.
No high majors. You can do a 2-for-1. They still won't do it.
No,
right?
No, it's a fair point. I mean, I have no pushback.
So, all right. Well, listen, great seeing you.
Yeah,
really
same
good
here.
seeing you. I'm glad you're doing well.
Yeah.
And I got to come out and visit you. You know, good weather, right?
Yeah,
and
for you guys, long-time listener, first-time participant, thank you.
No, we love you. You know that. You know that. I'm glad you're here.
Yeah.
Glad you're doing well. And I'll tell you what, like I told him earlier, I would love to get out, and I've been at a couple of them, St. Mary's, Gonzaga game. Like to get out to like a game day experience all day.
Yeah.
Be fun. Be
Awesome.
fun. And that game is about as good as it gets.
Yeah.
Either venue, too.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of it.
Well, this year we're going to have a few more, too. I mean, I'm excited about some things that are happening at LMU and San Francisco, Santa Clara you mentioned. So, we're getting strong for it. Yeah.
All right. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate you.
New WCC Commissioner Stu Jackson.
That's how you know it's been a long day.
I can't even say
When
WCC.
WCC turns into MWC, turns into
listen.
Turns into we're in hour 6 of the live
Yeah,
stream.
we're rolling here. We're rolling, and we got coming up. We got Herb Sendek coming up here in a little bit, and then Randy Bennett.
You know what? It's honestly, I think what Herb Sendek has done
It's
at
ridiculous.
Santa Clara. One, it's really impressive with the wins they've been able to get. But two, they've had
Pros.
first-round picks in
pros.
each of the last 2 years.
I know it's crazy,
And, like,
isn't it?
Jalen Williams was 12, I believe, in 2022, and AirPods was he 19th? Is that what?
I think he was 19. Yeah, that sounds right. Barnum's not allowed to. Yeah, we are.
I will say you can't see him right now.
You
Sean
can make a
Farnham's sitting right
cameo.
behind me.
You can make a quick cameo at least.
Robbie Hummel
walk
got
by.
on. Robbie Hummel joined us.
Herb's coming in. So
I joined for a second. I'll help introduce Herb.
all right, there we go.
All right, I'll help introduce
big
Herb.
intro of Herb.
Yeah, because
All right.
I will tell you this. All right, like first of all, I love today. I don't know how you guys are feeling about today,
love it,
but this
love
is super cool that we've got the Mountain West Conference and the WCC together. We have so many media members here from so many different places.
Yep.
These players and these coaches are getting unbelievable exposure today.
Yep.
You know, I just talked to Isaiah Stevens. We have one ESPNU game or ESPN Plus game all year long.
Yep.
He's one of the best players in the country.
Right.
We need to spend time and get to know him a little bit. So it's been super cool. But what I'll say about Herb and what he's done in particular the last 2 years. All right.
2 years. You're going to narrow it down? The guy's got a career of how many years, Herb? 68 years?
Just Jeff, can I do the intro? Can I do the intro?
Yes, go ahead.
All right. In particular, what he and his staff has been able to do with Pajemski and Williams and finding guys and developing talent and turning them into first-round picks in the NBA.
Insane.
I mean,
Insane.
at Santa Clara,
Yes.
who prior to those two, by the way, you had Steve Nash a long, long time ago.
Yeah.
And so when I'm privy to covering the WCC, so I get to see it up close and personal. But you're talking about one of the best coaches in our game. He's won every single place he's gone. North Carolina State, ASU, now at Santa Clara. He's reinvigorated that program, and he's done it with finding guys that have a chip on their shoulder, that just simply love the game of basketball and want to work and want to get better. And he and his staff do a tremendous job turning kids into pros.
It's a good intro.
There you
Very
go.
nice job.
Now I'm going to go back to work at
Yeah.
ESPN. Goodbye.
Thank you.
Can you give me an intro later?
Can we just end it there?
You have overcome.
Herb's like, I'm out.
Rob, you have
improve
overcome
on that.
Jeff Goodman so eloquently over the course of your career. You know, Goodman has brought you down 1,000 times over again, and somehow you still come above the water. Good job.
All right. There he is. Herb
Take a bow,
Sendek.
Farnham.
How you doing?
I'm doing great.
You good?
Thank you.
Great to
good
see
to be
you.
with you guys.
Great to see you.
Thank you.
And he's right. I mean, Farnham's right. Like what you've done there. And again, listen, everybody I think within the sport knows who you are, what you stand for, and what a great coach you've been for a long time.
Thank
but
you.
I think what you've done the last couple of years is remarkable. I mean, remarkable. Again, taking some guys that, like you don't know, like AirPods. didn't get off the bench at Illinois, right? Didn't get off the bench.
Yeah.
And he comes and how – like I know there's no secret sauce here. It's getting in the gym, right? It's getting in the gym. You're in the gym all the time. You're a ball coach. But what has it been? And I guess to be able to get this now to a level where you can sustain it now.
Yeah. Well, I think it starts with a tremendous commitment by the university. From the top all the way through the ranks, they're committed at Santa Clara to having an outstanding basketball program. Our athletics director, Renee Baumgartner, is a rock star. We have a relatively new president, Dr. Julie Sullivan, who's extremely supportive. But we also have an assembly of alumni, trustees, and others that are behind us and investing in the program in new ways.
It wasn't always that way, right?
I mean, if I'm going to be candid with you, it's very recent.
Right.
And in fact, it was just the opposite. And
it became a little because they had a lot of success for a while, and then it kind of they didn't.
No, it was, and I'm not throwing anyone under the bus, but it's the truth.
Right.
It's just the truth.
Yep.
And here in the relative recent past, they've just decided, hey, we can do this. And so I think we have now a good foundation in place. We still have a ways to go, but we have momentum.
What was it about Jalen Williams and I'm calling him AirPods?
Yeah, because that's what his dad, I think, nicknamed him.
Jalen Williams and AirPods that you saw and kind of knew that they were going to be able to have. Like, did you see it coming from them, the years that they had, the fact that they ended up being first-round picks? They obviously got overlooked by some of the bigger programs.
Yeah, I mean, you never know. And there is an element of good fortune, let's be honest. And we've recruited guys who everybody expected maybe to do great things and for whatever reason, didn't make it to the NBA. It's really, really, really hard to make it to the NBA. There's a lot of tremendous college players, international players that don't ever get that opportunity. So with all due respect, not trying to be, Herbie humble. There's a certain amount.
I like that.
There's not a whole lot of, there's an element of good fortune. But with Jalen, here's a young man who continued to grow. He wasn't as tall as he became when he came out of high school, continued to grow, but somebody who has an amazing feel for the game, a really high basketball IQ, unbelievable character, just had
family is right. Cody, I heard
great
his brother
family, mom and dad are just amazing people. And so all those things are in place. There was no distractions, no noise. And Jalen always just had this innocence about him, right? This purity. And it allowed him to be extremely coachable, open-minded, and he got better as a result. Yeah. He didn't have all the answers. He wasn't coronated before his time. And so he just worked.
For that, right?
Yeah, it turned out to be a real blessing, And then with Brandon, a different story, but somebody who was acclaimed out of high school, somebody who was a decorated high school player, highly recruited, and then didn't play as a freshman and came to Santa Clara for a new beginning. And we knew he was going to be a good player. Did any of us know he'd be one and done with us and co-player of the year in the conference? Of course not, right? Of course not. But I've never been around a player who wanted it more.
I heard that about him in Illinois. I heard like even in practice, it was almost like he competed too hard in a way.
Jeff, he was consumed with being an NBA player in a good way.
Yeah.
Not that he had one foot out the door, but on his laptop, for instance, he would be watching games in the airport, college, NBA, sending me plays. Does this fit what we do, Coach? Wow. Just driven, always in the gym. Yeah. And the results speak for themselves.
All right, I have an easy question for you. Super easy.
Yeah.
Who's next? Who's going to be the third first-round pick here in 3 years.
Yeah, you started the tradition. Right. It's a legacy now.
We have honestly, I would never put that burden on any young player because, we got to stay. Yeah, I know you do, but I do think, and we have a couple guys that if things come together, have a real chance, and we'll see. We'll see.
Who are those guys that you think, again, have a chance to really have a special year?
Yeah, I think we have any number of guys. When you start talking about the NBA level, I think that's a different conversation.
Let's talk about who you think will really figure into your team this year.
Yeah,
and get you. Listen, what's the goal here?
To get to the tournament.
Absolutely, and really, crack the top 3 of the league.
Yeah,
you're going to have a really good chance.
We've been third,
right.
But
right
our next step, obviously, is to get to the NCAA tournament. To Gonzaga and St. Mary's credit, they now have ascended their programs. So they're literally 2 top 25 programs going into most seasons.
That's right.
Okay. Yep. And we've been sitting in that next neighborhood, and it's now coming upon us to take that next step. But our league, top to bottom, and I don't say this as a sales pitch. Yeah. In the time I've been in the league or even on the West Coast, the league has had a steady, continual trajectory north. And the coaching in the league is at a really high level. The preps are no joke, as good as any league I've ever coached in. You're not pulling the wool over anybody's eyes. That there's a really high level of coaching. And I think credit Gonzaga. The rest of the league has been forced to up their games. They've been,
and I think St. Mary's then after,
and then St. Mary's after. What Randy?
It's not like St. Mary's has the resources that Gonzaga does.
That's right.
And what Randy's been able to, your twin brother,
my twin brother,
do.
I know when you say that's really a great compliment to him. But we've had a lot of fun with that, by the way. And I don't take it as a compliment.
It's hilarious.
I don't take it as a compliment.
Way too good. We need a picture.
We have so much information there, but let me just say this. I don't know that the nation, the basketball universe as a whole, truly understands what Randy has done there.
I agree with you.
I mean, I don't mean to say that he's not recognized.
It's ridiculous.
It's ridiculous.
Ridiculous. When you go to that campus and that gym and know the resources that he has there.
That's right. And not for one. He's been like 27 years now.
It's amazing.
And
and
here's the thing. He is a great coach, a great technician. They have a unique style of play. But what he's also been able to do that I think sometimes is lost is they recruit at an elite level. Like I'm talking, they have NBA guys.
Right, where they started obviously with the Australia connection.
Right, but now it's built. And so he's been able to attract top-level contact.
Yeah. Right? Can you now take it from where you're getting some of these – you want to keep getting them and develop them, but you also, I'm sure, want to use this and be able to – can you recruit the next tier?
Yeah, and I think, time will tell,
Sure.
But I think we are already seeing our ability to move up the food chain in our recruiting.
Get in with kids
it's changed.
Get in with
when we first started at Santa Clara, honestly, it was very difficult to get a return phone call. And painstakingly, that's improved. And honestly, I think it's always a team effort. Sometimes the coaches get too much credit or blame, but the infrastructure, the leadership, no different than pro sports, the ownership, right? It's a team effort. The coach is the face sometimes. But in our case, what our athletics director, Renee Baumgartner, has been able to do, and like I said, the leadership of the university being behind us. And I think for the first time, people are starting to get a little bit of a taste that, hey, we could do this.
Yeah.
So we put out a publication in the preseason. It's called The Almanac. And we have in it an anonymous coaches poll. And they pick things, player that scares you the most, sleeper team, best pro prospect. One of the things that we have coaches vote on is the breakout player. Christoph Tilley was voted
Yeah.
by the coaches as the guy that's going to be the breakout player
Yeah.
in the WCC. Talk to me about it.
Yeah, no, I think they could be right. I mean, I'm biased, but you're talking about a young man who's 7 feet tall, can play in the post with right and left hand, can put it on the floor, can shoot the three, has good feet on defense, is a basketball savant with his IQ.
Really?
You know, last year he came in as a freshman from Berlin. Physically, he wasn't ready. Obviously, there's a transition to begin with for all freshmen. But by conference play, he became one of our best front court players. Even though he wasn't in the starting lineup, he became that guy and finished the season on a really positive note. Season ends, and now he's caught the fever. He's lived in the gym. He's transformed his body. He's much stronger, and he is a tremendous player.
When you have guys like Jalen Williams and AirPods and people like Christoph see their work ethic and see that development, we always talk about culture in college basketball programs. Like, does that set the tone? Does that pass down? Like,
Absolutely. And the great thing about our guys is they come back. They don't come and leave. Like, Jalen's back. You know, 2 weekends ago, Pods was there all weekend at practice. They're there in the summertime.
You call them AirPods too?
No, I don't call them AirPods. I call them a lot of things, to be honest with you. Pods. I called him the Polish rifle. I had different nicknames for him. I make it up. And but yeah, it does. There definitely is a trickle-down effect, especially when guys like Jalen and Brandon have a presence, which they both do.
Really. All right, what would you be doing? Stu and I we were talking about you and you working with Stu years
That's
ago,
right?
And we got to teach him how to pronounce Carnegie Mellon first.
He doesn't know how?
No, how do you pronounce it?
Carnegie
Mellon. So I don't understand. You know,
that's
disrespectful,
unacceptable.
right?
Does he know where the tartans?
He has no idea.
No idea.
Trust me, no idea whatsoever. All right, what would you be doing if you didn't? I'm sure you've been asked this before, but really, what would you be doing right now if you didn't get into basketball? What do you think?
It's hard to imagine.
Yeah.
It really is. Coming out of Carnegie Mellon, I had a job offer at Westinghouse, which was a prominent company headquartered in Pittsburgh, my hometown. And I remember as a senior, they offered me, I think it was $32,000 to start.
A ton of money.
Right? It was a ton of money.
Back then.
Ton of money.
Wow.
Right? For especially a guy who had no money.
Average, I mean, the equivalent now of like, I don't know, 150 grand?
Yeah. I mean, it was a lot of money, right? And much to the dismay of most everyone who knew me, I turned it down.
Your parents must have been like,
They always kind of let me make my own decisions. They guided me, but they didn't decide for me. But a lot of people thought I was out of my mind because I was a Division III player. I got cut my senior year in college, and I took a job at Providence as a graduate assistant. My salary was $0. I lived in a dorm. I ate in a cafeteria. And I lived on the $500 that I made that previous summer working basketball camps. And
we doing 5-star?
That's how it starts.
You doing 5-star?
I did every camp that I could get to, including 3 to 4 weeks every summer at 5-star, which obviously was the connection through Howard Garfinkel to Coach Pitino of getting the GA job for $0 and 0 cents coming out of Carnegie Mellon. And that's how I got into coaching.
That's crazy. I mean, can you believe it? Like, looking back on it now,
No.
Your parents probably thought, you know what, let him do it for a year.
Right.
And then he'll be done. He'll go back to doing what we really want him to do.
But in particular, my classmates at Carnegie Mellon, I think they really had a hard time wrapping their head around it because I can't even describe to you how much we studied. It was insane. 7 days a week, around the clock. It was so challenging.
And then this knucklehead goes.
And I put all this time in, right?
Right.
And got a degree, and then I just was like, see ya. It was crazy, really.
But you know what? It worked out. You made more. You might have made more money doing basketball.
Probably, yeah, right.
You
Because
would've.
I'd probably be making 34 at
Yeah,
Westinghouse
who
now.
knows? Who knows?
Yeah.
Well, listen, we really
appreciate you
coming
guys
by.
having me.
Always
Thank
great
you.
seeing you.
Always
know
great.
that.
Thank
Seeing
you.
Herb.
Wish you guys all
We
the
need to do
best.
it more. We
Thank
need
you.
to do it more.
Let's
Catch
do it
up.
again. Yep.
Herb Sendek,
All right. Thanks,
Santa
guys.
Clara head coach.
Herbie Humble.
One of the Herbie Humble. That's right, Herbie Humble. It all sticks, Herb.
You're never
Herb,
going
it
to
all
hear the end of that
sticks.
now. That was a mistake.
No, that's the quote of the day, I think.
We're supposed to be getting
All right, that was Herb Sendek. I'm telling you, one of the best coaches out there. And people know it. Obviously, he's been around forever. The only thing we should have asked him about, we didn't, was his favorite James Harden story. He might have set him up with Kardashian back in the day. You never know. Maybe Herbie Humble has a story.
Just imagine what James – look at what James Harden now.
I
Imagine
know.
James
He was-
Harden as a college student.
I knew him. I mean, I didn't know him well, but I talked to him, and he was like super quiet. Yeah, he was super quiet, and like you just never saw this coming.
You know what you should do? When Randy Bennett sits down, you should introduce
Herb.
him as Herb Sendek and see what he
Hey,
says.
people have done it. That's not new. I'm telling you, that is not new.
You should just see what the reaction would
Randy Bennett, we'll get the best out of Randy Bennett here. Randy, again, listen, I can't say enough good things about Randy Bennett. Of all the coaches, of all the practices I've ever gone to, I think I enjoy going to a Randy Bennett practice more than any. The teaching is awesome. Like, it just how he deals with his players. It's I don't know.
It really is amazing that it's one
We
of
have
the
a
best
chance. See, look at how excited he
programs.
is. I've never seen Randy this excited. Well, you go from Hummel to us. You know, it's like
No one got the win on us. I'm still bitter about that.
he did. That's right. That's right.
We
I
ran
remember.
the baseline.
I was there. I was there for that one. How you doing?
Awesome.
Good to see you.
Good to see you.
Rob, grab the mic there. And Randy Bennett, St. Mary's head coach. Listen, did you see what I have you predicted this year? Did you see this?
No.
You didn't. Final Four.
Jeez.
Yeah.
No heat
Damn
there.
right. No,
Yeah, no
listen,
expectations.
Listen, it shows. I think, first of all, I know you already have an agent, but I think I could be your second agent.
Hire.
Because of
I'll hire you right
yeah,
now.
No, listen. I just told Rob, you know, I've been to a few of your practices over the years, and I enjoy going to your practices more than any coach in America because of the teaching that you do in that practice.
Thank you.
I just think you have a way, and I wish more people could see it, your way of teaching and interacting with these kids is special. It's the X's and O's is one thing. We know how good you are at that. But I think, honestly, your way of dealing with kids and people, and I don't think enough people also see your personality. So, well, hopefully we'll
Thank
show
you.
them here a little bit.
Thank you. Yep.
But
Nah.
Final Four. What do you
Final
think?
Four. Thank you. But
Yeah.
it doesn't matter.
No, I know
You know
it
what I
doesn't
mean?
matter.
I was thinking about that coming over. I was like,
But
doesn't matter.
Do you think this is a team with the capable pieces to be able to do something special? That if things break right,
Yes.
okay,
The answer is yes to that. I mean, Final Four. I can't really answer Final Four
Yeah.
because
no,
I've
you
been
don't.
around in 16. I haven't been to Final Four.
But again, you look at like San Diego State last year and
Yeah,
FAU, and you
yeah,
say to yourself, in this day and age where you're older, I mean, you've got some young guys too,
Yep.
but you got a good mix. Like, who knows these days? That's kind of the beauty of it, isn't it?
I think that's what's changed in college basketball. A lot's changed very fast, like in the last 2 years. And I think that's one of the things, at least for us and teams, programs from our level, that's a positive. Like, it's pretty wide open now.
Yes.
And you don't see – I mean, the big-time blue blood programs, they still have an advantage and all that, but it's not what it used to be.
Nope.
Not even close.
No, because especially now with the extra COVID year too, that
Yep.
cuts into it right now, right? For this
Yep.
stretch, I think that even more so because if you're old, you got 25-year-olds now. I don't know if you have any.
No doubt.
Well, how old's Ducas?
He's only 23.
23. You always have older kids anyway.
Kuzi was like 34.
He really was.
Aidan Mahaney had about as good of a freshman season as you could have asked. When did you realize that you had a kid that was as talented and as effective as he was? Like freshmen right now, you don't necessarily see them have that kind of an impact when they're going up against the 25-year-olds that Jeff was talking about. When did you know what you had?
What do you mean? When did I know
Like, when did
what
you
we
figure
had?
out that you're going to have a guy that's averaging 14 points a game?
Yeah, that he was going to be that good. Like you knew he was going to be good when you recruited him.
Exactly.
But that good right out of the gates?
I guess when it happened, I knew when we signed him. Like, I don't always say this, but on that one I knew
right away.
This one, we just got a good one. Some people, he wanted to be here. He'd grown up there. I mean, he went to high school a mile away from our school, but he's a pretty loyal guy, and he's into being loyal, and that's where he wanted to go, and he wanted to, make St. Mary's. He had all the right things about his attitude and how his DNA, the whole deal. So I knew, all right, this. I knew that he was going to be all right. He went 20. He had 25, I think, first night.
Oh, did he? Right away.
And
what is he
against Oral Roberts, I think, which was a good team.
Right. That's right. You played on one of the better. That was one of the better games that first week. That's right.
He came off the bench, but eventually, I think 9th or 10th game he started, and the guy ended up passing up was Augustus Marcelonis, who is a good player. Will be a really good player for us this year. But so I guess I knew first night. Like once he did that, I thought he'd be good. I thought he'd be a double-digit guy. I didn't know he'd go. He really should have been 15 a game. He had a bad last couple of games.
Yeah, he struggled.
He had a goose egg in one of them.
Yep. Jordan Ross. Can he be like that? Is he that type of guy where we're going to say the same thing about him, or no, or temper the expectations a little bit? And you've got good guys in the spot already.
Bingo.
Right. So he's going to wait his time.
There had to be a hole there for Aidan.
Right.
Like, and when Delhi came in and started right away, there was a hole there. Patty was supposed to come back, Patty Mills, but he went pro. So we were planning on bringing Delhi in. He's going to come off the bench, and McConnell and Mills are going to be our guards. But Mills left, and so there's a space there. There's not really that space there this year because Augustus has started games, and he's going to be a good player.
I saw him in person 2 years ago, and I was like, I was surprised last year he didn't do a little bit more.
I agree.
I just had expectations that he was going to take a big jump. Then, honestly, that he might have been what Mahaney did.
I agree.
So what will be the difference?
So for Jordan Ross, I mean, those guys are pretty experienced and have played in the big games and played big minutes, and Augustus played really good against VCU. So that's one of the differences right there. And then I don't know Jordan like I knew Aidan. Like I'd seen Aidan play
so many times,
150 times.
Right. Goose, like what?
But Jordan's doing well. He's going to be a good player.
Augustus will. Why do you have confidence that he'll kind of get back to what we thought he was going to be?
So he came. The long version is, Augustus was you think he's like this Lithuanian guy who's older and more wise and just played against men all of his life. That's kind of what you think when he's coming in from there. And his dad was such a stud. Yeah. But he wasn't. He's just a kid. He's just a kid like our 18-year-olds. And so a kid living in another country for the first time by himself, speaking another language, whole deal. So that's kind of what he had to work through. And now he's grown up. He's happy here.
More adjusted.
He had he finished the season, last third of the season, very well. And then now there's a hole for him to be the guy. And he had a great spring, great summer.
When you got the job, you've been at St. Mary's for 23 years now, and it feels
you're old.
It's hard to believe.
I know. That's what he's trying to tell me.
But when you got the job, and Jeff was talking about this with Herb Sendek, who he calls your twin earlier, about how impressive it is that you've built that St. Mary's program into top 25, WCC championships, NCAA tournaments, St. Mary's. When you got the job, did you think that getting it to this point was something that was possible? If I would have told you where you are right now, the day you got the job, would you have believed me?
No, I wasn't thinking in those terms. And I didn't know enough. Like, I was a first-year head coach. I was like, let me see if I can survive here. So I wouldn't. You could go back and listen to any interview I had back then, and it wouldn't have been we're going to be top 25 in 4 years. But what's amazing, now looking back on it, at the time, I didn't feel this way, but now looking back on it, it's like, we got in the NCAA tournament our 4th year. I look back on that might be the most impressive thing we've done. To go from 2-27 to the tournament in 4 years, hard to do. So I didn't. I just kind of one day at a time, and just we went 9 wins, then we went 15, then we went 19, then we went 25, and then after that we rebuilt it with freshmen, and again, each step of the way, I haven't thought, God, this is impressive what we're doing, but now I'm old enough. It's been long enough. I look back and I'm like, how do we do that? So it's
been cool to watch.
It's been fun.
Because again, I think people in the industry know, your resources don't compare to some other schools that you're, fighting with, right?
Right.
And you've been able to kind of maximize that. I mean, I've been in your gym. I love it. It's cool.
Yeah.
But again, you go to your gym and you go to some other places and you're like, all right, like they're different. They're very different. Now, again, your gym gives you a home court advantage.
There you go.
It does.
There you go.
Right.
It's 3,500 instead of 6,000.
Right.
This is a difference.
It kind of fits. All right.
But they're both.
The 3,700 and the 3,500 person gym is better than putting like 4,000.
I think we had like 4,000 in there.
You got to get. We really got to get to Moraga this year. I would love to take Rob. He's never been, and do kind of like a game day experience there for even when you guys play Gonzaga or something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, those games are electric.
They're
as good as it
it's
gets.
a tough place to play.
They're as good as it gets in all of college. I say it like, I'd rather go. I don't know if I should say this, but it's true. I'd rather Gonzaga, you guys, than probably Duke, Carolina. It's more fun for me. It is.
Yeah.
It's more fun. So he is, by the way, a diehard UConn fan, Rob. Diehard. So I tell him over and over. You know what I tell him? That if Alex Ducas, his back didn't flare up, that you would have beaten him. So he gets all upset.
I'm just going to say we'll never know.
Tell him what you actually say. Be honest. Tell him what you actually say.
What did I say?
He says if Alex Ducas' back doesn't flare up against UConn, you would have won the national championship.
That's what I say.
That's what he tells everybody.
We'll never know.
It upsets the hell out of him, though. I'll say that. He gets so upset. What happened, by the way? I still never found out. His back just locked up?
It's kind of like his
Spasms?
disc slipped a little, and it's happened before. It's not like it's a surgical thing, but it happened then. It
looked like me
was
after
over.
a softball game or something.
Yeah. He probably felt like it too.
Like me.
No, it's a weird deal, but
It sucked.
the timing he's back.
was terrible. You were playing with him. You're right there with him.
Right? We were playing well. It was a good game. They were really good.
Oh,
That's the best team we played.
They were really good.
They were really good.
Listen, they were probably going to beat you anyway. But I don't ever.
We'll never know.
I don't ever want to say it in front of him.
Yeah.
I do think it's interesting how ahead of the curve you guys were when it comes to recruiting overseas. Like if you look at what's happening now with programs like UCLA going overseas and getting some of these guys, you were definitely ahead of the curve on that. Do you see people? Do the coaches reach out to you and ask you how you kind of develop some of those pathways?
They used to on the Australia thing. They don't so much anymore, and we're not trying to give it up to them either.
Because you're not giving up the secrets.
I mean, there's an edge where we have a little bit of an advantage there because we've been going there. I've had a kid from Australia on our team every year, So this will be 23 years in a row. We probably had 26 guys from there. So we have a built-in advantage there. So, yeah, not so much. I think a lot of teams are going international. And,
I mean, look at like Arizona, UCLA now, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Arizona you knew with Tommy.
yep.
But like, did you ever think Mick Cronin and UCLA would go like 7 international guys?
No, I didn't.
It's crazy,
I
right?
didn't. Yeah. So that's what I mean. It's changed so fast the last couple of years. They weren't doing it until the last couple of years, but this is
Well, I think even more
you can
now,
get those
but-
guys from Europe now,
and
which you
NIL,
could never
and
get.
NIL, you don't
No
have to pay 'em
question.
the same,
No question.
right?
And they're probably likely to stay longer.
They're not going to transfer. Either
Yep.
they're going to go back home, right, or they're going to stick it out.
So what people always underestimate on coaches, like when they make whatever they made the rule where you could a 1-year transfer, immediate eligibility. And so coaches are scrappy. They know how to hustle. They'll figure out a way to make that rule work for them, and they did, and they have, and that's what they're doing on NIL. They did it on the 6-year thing with the COVID whole deal, and that'll always be the deal. Whatever they can make the rules, whatever they want. Coaches will figure out how to make them work for them.
It always happens.
It
Right?
always
it
has.
always happens.
Give me your best memory from a Gonzaga St. Mary's game. Give me a great story.
Now I got it ready to go.
Well,
I got it ready to go for a game now.
The thing is, I don't think people realize what those environments are like or what those games are actually like when they happen. Like, it gets loud in Moraga when Gonzaga shows. It gets loud all the time, but when Gonzaga shows up, it's a different level. Same thing as when you go up there to Spokane. It's a different level. What's your favorite memory from a rivalry?
Anytime we won. Those are my favorites for sure. Yeah, last year was pretty special. You know what? I think my favorite one was the first time we beat them.
Yeah, probably.
And
right.
it was my 4th
Just saying.
year.
Oh, it was
It
that early?
It was year 4.
Wow.
And we had 2 guards that were we had finally got an old team and a good team. But our 2 guards were Paul Marigny and E.J. Rowland. They are still playing. They're 40 years old. They're both
No
still
way.
playing. So
At
they were,
40?
yeah, they're really good.
Holy shit.
And they were good then. Marigny had 30 at 6 threes. And the place was bonkers. But I think that was like a watershed moment for us too. Like you eventually had to beat them if you're going to be relevant, and we did. And yeah, when we beat them in the conference tournament when they're number 1, 2 times we beat them when they're number 1 in the country. One time was in that conference tournament in the championship, and we had to win it to go to the tournament, and we won it. So it was, and that wasn't one of our better teams, but we won on that night, and they were well, obviously they're number 1 in the country. They were really good. That one was special. There's a lot of people running around on the court crying after, and it's like, man, this must be a big deal.
It's been fun to see the rise of those 2 programs together because I don't think you can really separate it, right? WCC has grown as Gonzaga's grown. Gonzaga's grown as you've grown. And part of what I think helps the publicity of it all is the fact that you do have those 2 teams. And sometimes it is a 2-team race. And sometimes those 2 games are going to be the games that decide who's going to end up winning the conference. I think it's very unique to the WCC, and I don't know if that can help happen elsewhere.
Well, one thing that has to happen for that to be the case is I think Mark stayed at Gonzaga the whole time. Once I got here, I stayed at St. Mary's, and I think that helps build tradition, rivalries, all that stuff. And we were able to get up where we were relevant against them, and that took a little while. And you know, if we have any slippage at all, then it's not relevant. And because they've kept the standard, the bar so high, it's amazing.
Yeah. Both of you guys, though, but you're right behind them now, which is
they've done it
amazing
at the
now.
highest level of anyone in the country. I mean, you can throw whoever you want out there, and you want to go 26 years back. Like these guys have been, and shoot, I think they were number 1 in the country for 6 years in a row at one point. Like, who can say that? So anyhow, we happen to be in the same league as them, and so sometimes they steal some of the thunder of anyone else that's doing something. But we got to the level where it was, all right, we could beat them.
Right.
I think we've won the league 4 times. So things like that, yeah, it's a pretty cool story and something that both programs should be proud of.
How are your sons doing before I let you go?
They're
Where
good.
are they now?
They're
what are they
good,
doing?
Chase is at Linfield
Okay.
University up in just south of Portland in Minville, and he's got a new coach, and they have exciting times and doing well. As long as basketball is going well, he'll be happy.
Good.
And then Cade redshirted for us last year,
Yep.
and then he'll be eligible freshman this year.
So you
and
gonna play him? Is he gonna play?
If he
How's he doing?
earns time,
If he
I'll
earns
play him.
it.
If he can help us win, but
How's he doing?
he's doing well.
Yeah.
He's doing well. Yeah, we have. I will say this: we have really good depth right now, and
Do you?
like you brought up Jordan.
That's why
Jordan's a good player.
It's why I picked you guys over Gonzaga, to be honest, this year, because I think your depth, they don't have the same level of depth that they've had over the
Right.
years. And I think, sometimes you got to look at that. Like, who's more apt to withstand an injury? I think you have a little bit more depth than them.
Yeah. I don't know their new guys, but
you have depth, though.
we do have
Yeah.
depth. Like
And you got
probably as much as we've had.
You got a star,
We have some good players.
right?
Aidan's really good, but so is Ducas, so is Saxon. Augustus is going to be good. I think that every position we're pretty good. Like Josh Jefferson and Mason Forbes, they'll hold down that
You better
fourth
make
spot
me look
for us.
good. You better make me look good.
We got work
The
to do, man.
pressure's
We
on.
got to work.
The pressure's
Get
on.
this guy out to that
No, we're going to do it.
Gonzaga St. Mary's game in
Raise
Moraga.
to you.
You
Tell
guys
your
are the
kids
best.
I said hello.
Thank
All
you.
right?
Thanks,
All right.
Randy. I'll see you. Randy Bennett,
Got him, man.
St. Mary's head coach, soon to be
There we go.
making
We
his
getting all
first
3
Final Four.
or 2. We came through 3. So give me Aidan and Ducas. Yeah. Sorry, we only have 2. I'm sorry, man.
You want it here? You want to sit here? No. Hey, Mitchell, come stand in the middle. You just got to share the mic.
Yeah, that's
These
fine.
guys just got to
What's
share
up,
the
man?
mic.
Jeff Goodman, how you doing? Good to see you, man.
Aidan, good to see you. Rob Dauster. What's going
What's
on?
up, man?
Good to meet
How you
you.
doing? I'm sorry
Rob
we don't have
Dauster.
another mic. Yeah, that's right. Sit on his lap. Look at this. Look at how cute this is.
This is
This is right.
teamwork right here.
Look at this. Who else
Yeah.
would do this? This is why I picked you guys to go to the Final Four this year. Did you know that?
I did not know that, but I
Yes.
like that
I
pick.
picked you to go to the Final Four. I love watched you last year in the NCAA tournament. You know, you lost to UConn. Now, he's a big UConn fan. I'm going to warn you right away. Now, when Ducas went down with his back injury, I said, if he doesn't get hurt, you not only beat UConn, you win the whole damn thing. Now, I know I'm really giving him shit. That's why I do it. All right, that's why I do it. But it was a game. Like, you guys were playing well. You were right there. You weren't playing as well as I thought you would, but you still were playing well. And you go down, and I honestly thought like you would have had a chance to beat them.
I think yeah, we had them in a really good position. Obviously, credit to UConn, they're an incredible team. I'm not too sure I could say that we would have easily beat them and gone on to do.
No, I'm not saying
something.
easily.
Exactly.
I'm saying
but,
you would have been there. You would have had a chance.
Yeah, I think especially
better
because I think we're a second half team. I think it takes us a half to kind of figure teams out and get used to different types like style of plays and stuff. So I think we would have definitely given them a good shot in that second half. Given I was there, not saying that I would have been the changing difference, but I think I could have helped out a little bit. But no, it would have been exciting.
You looked, man. You looked bad. Like, you looked in pain. You look like me.
Yeah.
And I'm old. You know that you were like bent over. You looked like an old dude.
It definitely wasn't comfortable.
No, it
Yeah.
definitely didn't look it.
Nah.
When did it feel better? When did you get better?
Probably took a week and a half to 2 weeks
Really?
before I was even standing straight.
Come
So,
on.
Yeah.
Seriously?
I was pretty horizontal on the couch for a few days after.
I didn't realize it was that bad for that long.
What actually happened?
So my disc slipped in my back, and it kind of like pinched the nerve, which kind of caused me to just collapse quickly and randomly. But I've kind of got through it now. Like, changed my strength and program conditioning and rehabbed and kind of shaped my body a bit differently. So I've had no issues in the summer so far and feeling great.
So we asked Coach Bennett this, and this is for Alex and Mitchell. When did you guys realize that he was going to come in and be that guy? Was it right away? You had, what was it, 25 in the opener, right? 25 in your first game.
He's blushing already.
Yeah. Did you know it right away? Did it take a little while in practice? Was it like he came on his recruiting busy and we're like, yeah, he's the guy. We got to get him. How long did it take you to kind of see that?
Luckily, he played at Camp Lindo, which was right over the hill from St. Mary's. So Logan Johnson, myself, and Kyle Bowen last year, we went to a lot of his senior games and we're in the crowd watching him, supporting
Recruiting?
him. So, yeah, well, I mean, trying to do our best part.
Was that your commitment?
Definitely not, no.
I was committed by then. I was committed.
Where you already in.
Yeah,
Was it easy recruitment?
absolutely. It was good.
But I'd say we noticed pretty fairly early on. We'd seen how he kind of took over games. And I know it's a high school level, but you could see early on how, like, competitive he was and how skilled he was. And you seen it straight away when you got on campus the first couple of weeks of practice. Like, we knew, like, it might take him a little bit of time as all freshmen do, but he kind of switched around pretty quick. And
Might take a little bit of time. First game, 25.
exactly, yeah. I was more talking about practice, but yeah, it was. We knew it was coming.
I'd say like probably the spring of his senior year, he was coming into our open gyms because he's so close and everything, and playing against Tommy Kuzi, who had just finished his
He
sixth
was
year.
like 29 years
and
old, right?
He's turning into a really good pro now in Germany.
Old enough to be
But
your dad.
there were open gyms where it was just going back and forth, and him and Kuzi were just trading buckets. And
Really?
we'd been around Aidan so much coming from the hometown there that it wasn't like weird to us, but like if you take a step back and watch that open gym as an outsider, you're like, dang, this is a dude who's not even a freshman yet, like coming in, just handing out buckets like that. So you could kind of tell pretty early on with him.
Were you a lifelong St. Mary's fan?
I mean, I definitely grew up watching St. Mary's. It's one of the reasons why I feel like the coaching staff is so special to me. Is like Mickey McConnell was a name that you heard throughout La Miranda when I was growing up, and then even Joe Rayhan as well, who are two unbelievable coaches who have great futures as well in the coaching career. But kind of just being able to see that, I feel like was huge for me to kind of feel comfortable coming in knowing that they had a great lineage of point guards.
So what's going to be the difference in your game now? From freshman year to, I mean, obviously you're more comfortable now, right? You got a year to work, off-season to work in your body.
Yep.
A little bit more. What else?
I think for me, the biggest part is just being more well-rounded as a player. I felt like I was a big last year's team offensively was like one of our biggest areas that we needed, and I was a good offensive player, but really working on my defense, passing, rebounding, kind of well-rounding my game, I feel like is something that I'm working on every day in practice right now.
So you lose Logan. How do you replace that production? How do you replace that leadership presence? Who have you seen that's kind of stepped up into that role?
Yeah, obviously it's hard to replace what Logan brought to our team in one person. But I think Marshall Ernest has really stepped up. He's really made massive jumps in practice that I know I've known him for 3 years now. It's even like shocked me a little bit. He started to practice so far, which has been exciting.
That's Jeff's guy.
For us to see.
I expected him to have a huge game year last year. I honestly, like when I saw you guys in person 2 years ago and then watched him, I was like, all right, I thought he would make a huge jump. And, you know, sometimes things happen, right? And this year I expect that'll happen.
For sure. I'm excited for you guys to see him because he's really been working hard. He's always the first guy you see at practice getting extra shots and working on parts of his game. But I think he's the main one that kind of stepped out to me. It was like, whoa, like he's really taking that on his chest to kind of feel what Logan brought on court. In terms of more off-court leadership, I mean, the two guys next to me have really stepped up. I was lucky enough to be part of that leadership group last year, and was obviously able to take parts from Logan and Kyle what they brought. But I mean, Aidan and Saxon, guys like Luke Barrett, who you don't see much on the court, but always brings it in practice, like in our locker room, big locker room guy. And I think we have pieces around us that are bringing little bits to kind of help build what Logan left. Like I said, it's going to be hard to kind of bring what he brought, but
toughness too, and
for sure, and
like a personality, right?
Like
exactly,
he would show up every game.
Exactly.
He's just a dog.
Right,
He'd guard
right,
their best guard every time.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
It's something that's easy to talk about, and it's like we're trying to do that. But
Yeah, but
really
you guys
just gotta
all
go out
have
and
to
do it
probably
every day,
step up
so.
a little bit in the leadership
For sure.
role, and you're not a freshman anymore, so it should be a little bit different. Listen, you were great down the stretch last year. How much more can you kind of consistently? Is that the biggest thing for you? Is just consistency, being able to give more in the post?
Yeah, I feel like I've worked on my body a lot in the off season and put on a little bit of weight and strength, and I think that'll help me sustain the length of the season, because it is a lot practicing and playing almost every day in season, and it wears on you by the time it gets to February and March. So just understanding what that feels like on my body, I think will help me sustain and be better in the post.
I just think you guys have so many weapons. Like I do. I mean, that's part of the reason I picked you guys to go to the Final Four. I don't think you're dependent. I think a lot of people think you guys are dependent on him. And as much as you're a great player, I think you guys have a lot around. You know, like you have a lot of weapons. You got a lot of really good players. You got experience. You've got balance. Like what do you guys feel? If I said to you, what are you lacking? What do you not have? Or you know, is there something that comes to mind?
A third chair.
Third chair. That's right. A third chair. That is what you're lacking.
No, like you said, I think we do have a lot of depth, a lot of pieces, a lot of Swiss Army knives in our roster that can be put in multiple positions. I think it's evident in our practices, our blue and white scrimmages are competitive. And last year, like blue might have won a lot of practices and won all the scrimmages. Now it's kind of back and forth, and it's like, all right, you see, like we're deep. Like we got guys that are comfortable and they're confident. They've been around the system for years now, and that's probably our main part. I think in terms of things we need to bring a bit more, maybe a little bit of that toughness. I mean, we lost that from Logan and KB. That bit of grit, that bit of dog, that bit of snarl about him. But
he doesn't look tough. Look
I mean, besides the 15-year-old face, baby face killer.
Come on.
So I think we just got to mature as a team. A few guys get a bit tougher and get a bit more confidence behind them and a bit of swagger, and I think we're right there.
You should have more swagger. The way you play. No, seriously, I mean that. Like, dude, you can dominate down there.
I appreciate that.
I think that's something that gets overlooked a little bit with the St. Mary's program too. Like everybody talks about the point guard pedigree, but Jock Landale, right? Omar Samhan, that might be throwing it back in the day. But
that's what you need. You need more Samhan. Yeah, that's what you need.
He spends enough time around our team that it's rubbing off.
I'm sure he does. Probably trying to recruit all you guys right now. Right?
What is it about the 5 spot in Coach Bennett's system that allows guys like that to thrive and have success?
I mean, you just work on your craft every single day. Like we'll do our big little drills where the guards go down on one end and the bigs are on the other end. And we're just working on post moves and everything and going really hard. And we all push each other and bring a lot of energy in practice and going up against each other every day. It's sort of like iron sharpens iron. And we've got another great 5 coming up, Harry Wessels, who had a big impact for us in a lot of games last year, the Houston game, the San Diego State game. And he's such a physical factor. I think he can be a big difference maker this year and pack a big punch at the 5.
He's getting you in practice. Is that why the white team is starting to win? Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Right, do we have a good Randy Bennett story, like a good one? Because everybody kind of just sees like this from Randy, right? Like, and I've been to a bunch of practices. I've said this. Like, honestly, I enjoy watching a Randy Bennett practice more than any other coach. I just think like it's such teaching.
Yeah.
I mean, like, it's just different than a lot of dudes.
Yeah.
He doesn't really jump you guys ever. Like, I haven't seen it. I'm sure he does occasionally. But give me a great story about Coach Bennett that maybe would surprise some people if they heard it. If you can. I know you got to be careful too.
Yeah, you're right. I'm trying to pass through a couple in my head.
You, okay? if he gets mad at you. Is there something that would show maybe his personality, or even like, again, show, because I think what people think of Randy is like great X's and O's, which he is.
Yeah.
But again, like he actually does have a really good personality, and I don't think people see that.
I'm gonna give a throwback one. This is prior to St. Mary's, actually.
Okay.
Prior to high school, prior to middle school.
Right. Going way back to when you were in diapers.
This is about kindergarten, somewhere in there, and my dad was my coach in the local rec league, and we were playing against Cade Bennett, Chase Bennett, and Coach Bennett, and pretty crazy. Coach Bennett's team's always dominated because he has the 2 sons who were very good at the time, and it obviously helps when you have Coach Bennett coaching against my dad, who is an internet analyst, and anyway, nonetheless, we ended up losing the game, and with 5 seconds left in the game, I ran out of the gym crying after the loss, and Coach Bennett went up to my mom and asked if I was her son, and said that I had heart. That was it. That boy has heart, and that was it. That's all he said. what is it now?
That's
12,
crazy.
15 years down the line, and I'm his point guard, trying to help him accomplish new things. So
It was the
pretty
earliest
incredible.
commitment he's ever got.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. That's right.
Yeah.
It was done right then.
Right, something like that. So, me and Coach Bennett go way back,
That's
and
very cool.
it's cool to see. I feel like I get to see him not only as a coach but as a father to Caden Chase. I mean, he was at all the high school games that we went to, and just seeing his commitment with that, I feel like sheds a different light on him, not just the X's and O guy that you see.
Yeah, it's good. Anything else? You guys scared? You scared, aren't you? You guys are like, I got one, but I can't go there.
Yeah,
Right?
he's got a good,
It's all right.
a couple good stories. I mean,
All right. Well, you can tell them to me in private if you need
yeah,
it.
yeah. We'll,
If
save
you
it for
need
another
it, we'll do that later. We'll do that. You can give me some good dirt on them for later.
Maybe after the season, once I've graduated.
All right, that's a smart move. All right, so what? I asked this question. I kind of know what I'm going to get here, but aside from like chemistry and playing, what needs to happen? If I said like one thing needs to happen this year for you guys to make that deep run, right, to get to a Final Four, what is it? What is it? Mitchell, what like give me? It might be somebody on the team that just needs to I don't know. Might be Augustus. He does what I thought he'd do last year.
I think Mitchell touched on a little bit, but I think Harry Wessel's a really dark horse for us.
Really?
He's massive. We call him the horse. He's just physically imposing. And
What does he weigh?
275,
Really?
something like
He's not
that.
bad.
5:15 mile.
Huh?
Ran a
5:15
5:15
mile.
What? At 275?
Yeah,
Holy
So, like,
it's a monster.
wow.
Yeah, he's been doing really, really well in practice. And to go up against Sachs, who's a first-team all-league big, and he's really shown improvement. And some days, I'll tell Sachs to his face, but some days Harry gets the best of him, for sure. So I think,
Well, hey, 275.
yeah.
It's gonna.
Yeah, I think if he can figure it out, he's still obviously raw in basketball and skill and knows the game. But I think if he can kind of figure it out earlier on than later, I think that'll be a really 1-2 punch at the 5 spot that's going to be tough for.
And you don't
guys
need
to play
a
with.
ton from him. You just
Exactly,
need
yeah.
a good quality, right? 10,
Exactly.
15 minutes.
Yeah.
No doubt.
Right?
Yeah.
So I mean, that's going to make all you guys better anyway with the depth. It's like that way you're playing, even if you play a few less minutes, you're fresher.
Exactly.
You're not going to be worn down by the end of the year as much. either.
Yeah, and if Sachs doesn't pull his finger out at practice, Harry might be in the starting spot. So, but I think another piece is Joshua Jefferson at our 4 spot, and Mason Forbes transfer from Harvard to come in. So I think
I saw Forbes.
with the loss of KB, Kyle Bowen, and that 4 spot's very vacant right now. And obviously he brought a lot of heart and determination and defense to our team. Not much offense. Credit to my guy, he's doing well, but he didn't bring much in the offensive end. And I think Joshua Jefferson can really pick that up for us. He's like a Swiss Army knife guy. That's him. He gets the rebound for us on defense and dribbles it up, passes it, initiates offense. So I think he's really one to watch.
How's the freshman, Jordan Ross?
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Randy was saying he doesn't need to do too much this year.
Yeah.
That's kind of the beauty of it. But he'll
sure.
be good. He'll, and then
Really talented passer. Really is trying hard on defense right now and trying to learn our system. Obviously, our system is pretty hard and it takes a little while to get used to, but he's shown a lot of improvement in the first couple weeks of practice so far, and super excited to see where he takes it.
What is something that I think most people, casual basketball fans, when they think of St. Mary's, they think the Australia connection, right? And they think the other team in the WCC that's not Gonzaga. What is something that you guys think the public at large doesn't know about your program, about your team, about what Coach Bennett has built in Moraga over the last 23 years?
I mean, I think we've kind of built it up to a point where people don't know how hard we schedule in the non-conference a little bit and how many good matchups we have, because we play other smaller schools because it's so hard for us to schedule Power 5, but we're playing
Or Roberts we had
Roberts,
last year.
first game last year.
Mean Green, yep.
Yeah.
North Texas.
nobody's coming to your place. They don't want to. None of the high majors want to come.
Yep.
Yeah, nobody's really looking at those on a national level,
Which
but you
they
look at the
should
Ken Palm.
now. It's normally schools aren't coming because it's not even they're afraid. Generally, they're coming before.
You don't want to
10
take the
years
loss.
ago.
That's what
you don't want to take the loss. But
now
even if you take the loss, like it's a
bad.
quality loss.
Yeah.
It's not a bad loss now.
Yeah.
Like 10, 15 years ago, yeah, it was a bad loss to lose to St. Mary's. Now, like, play you guys.
Yep.
It's a good, like, shit, you're going to be ranked higher than most of them anyway this year. So is that frustrating in a way that these schools won't play you, the big boys?
I think it kind of is what it is. I just think we just need to have the mentality. We're not running from any smoke. I think we're ready for it. I also just like to say just kind of how we're building. Obviously, you know, the culture here is special and everything, but I really feel like in the next 2-3 years, given what these guys have done the past 2 years, you can see in our recruiting class coming up already, like, I think we're going to start picking up and really start making a real scene on, like, this national AAU scene with the ESPN rankings. And none of that stuff matters per se.
What do you mean?
But
You don't
just
want to go with no more international guys?
absolutely not. We'll be bringing it. We'll be bringing them all in. Absolutely, we'll be bringing them all in. Obviously, that's what's been working for us. But just to say, I really hope that we can transition kind of as a program from kind of a really, really good mid-major to no, like, we're here. We're now in 3 consecutive.
Nobody
Hold on.
thinks
Do you
that
see
Gonzaga's
how we dodged the question? We were like, why do you think high majors don't want to play you? And then he turned it into
turned into that.
There you go.
That's good. That was a
Media
pro
veteran
move.
over there.
Pro move. But it's true. Like, Gonzaga, we don't think of them. I don't think of you guys as a mid-major either. But a lot of people think of Gonzaga as a high major, and you guys still as a mid-major.
Yep.
Am I wrong?
No, you're right.
Right? And that's got to be one where, like, it probably pisses you off. Right?
100%. I think personally, I noticed it and talked to a few guys in that team last year, but when we were in March and in the tournament, people were still looking around like who are these guys? Like why are they here? And then even when we beat VCU, they're like, oh, I was like a fluke game. Like, And then so I think that kind of hurts me the most because we just don't really get the respect that I think that we deserve.
But it probably also is good for you.
Yeah, and I love it. Like, I mean, the other half is I love it. It's, people don't know who we are. We fly under the radar. We just keep working hard.
You don't always look the part. Right. You don't always look the
Pretty
part,
not
which
pretty,
is fine, right?
What we flew with.
Exactly.
So, I mean, good and bad things to both of them. I think we don't really listen too much outside noise. I think Coach Bennett really does a good job in kind of keeping that all away from us and just saying, like, one of our big mottos is get better every single day. Get a little bit better every single day. And I think that's what we focus on. Mid-major, high major, you still got to wear the same shoes and play on the same hoops. So once we get out there, it's all free for all.
Well, listen, I want a St. Mary's UConn rematch.
Oh, I do too.
But you got to take care of the back.
Yeah,
all
I'm
right,
good.
all
I'm
right.
good
Whatever
now.
you got to do, don't be looking like me again. All right,
Try
listen,
not to.
guys, great to meet you.
Appreciate you.
I like your
having
pregame
us.
routine, by the way. Too.
Yes, sir.
I like
Yes,
that
sir.
too.
Thank you.
Great to see you guys. All right,
Thanks for having us.
No, we'll be
Best
out
of
there
luck
this
this
year.
season,
We'll
all
be
right?
out there. All right.
Thanks for squeezing in for us too.
Yeah. Sorry, Mitchell. All right, what a good group.
Yeah.
Like, how much fun was that?
They're so easy to root for.
They are easy to root
So
for.
easy to
They're
root
just, hey, tell me now you're not an Alex Ducas fan after that.
Oh, big Alex. I was never not an Alex Ducas fan.
You didn't give him the credit he deserved. You did not give him the credit. You know?
Yeah.
This is obviously a team that can go deep in the tournament. We know that.
What's
All
going
right,
on?
grab Stan. Stan. Are we doing players? No, we're just doing. We're just grab Stan. We'll get Stan Johnson. We're trying to get him in. He's talking to Brian Dutcher right now.
This is how you know you're in hour 6 of a live stream.
Yeah,
You're
we're
sitting here
more.
trying to-
I know. We're trying to,
What am I
this
supposed
is
to
not
say?
easy right
What
now.
do I do right now?
We've had a long day.
Long day.
We're in Vegas.
I'm on
You know,
a cup of coffee.
you won't even get me any coffee. That's part of the problem here. That I don't have enough caffeine. Yeah, like a warm Diet Coke.
Look, I tried to get you a cup of coffee yesterday, but I had to wait 36 minutes to get my coffee.
You didn't try. No. You're full of crap.
I did.
You're full of crap. You
I
ordered
tried.
it online,
I tried.
and you didn't order anything
Here's
for
the
me.
thing. I went in there and I put into the Starbucks app. I said,
You're so full of shit.
I need a vanilla milkshake with a shot of espresso in it. The Starbucks doesn't have milkshakes. So what do you want me to do? It's not my fault.
I would like you to order for me. Order something
Drink
for
a
me.
real cup of coffee.
Don't be all about yourself. Actually care about your co-host.
Why would I care about you?
It's unbelievable.
You're a bad person.
Okay, Stan. let me ask you something. All right.
What's going on, man? Good to see you.
Yeah, you're good. We're live.
I like
it. So yesterday, I go down. We're supposed to meet at 7. What time was it yesterday? 7:30.
8 o'clock.
8 o'clock. Whatever time. It's 8 o'clock in the morning. We're supposed to meet downstairs, Park MGM, in front of the Starbucks, right in front of the elevators. So I go down there, and I knew Starbucks was going to be packed, whatever. And I'm like, all right, maybe we'll get a cup of coffee on our way somewhere else. So I go down there, and this dude he's waiting for Starbucks, never asked for my order.
Never asked for your order.
Nothing. Zero. Now, that's a wouldn't you say?
Bad teammate?
Bad teammate?
You know what? I got to
Is
tell you
he
guys.
coachable? Like, do you think he's coachable enough?
Every morning I wake up, you two guys have the best banter on Twitter by far. I'm always interested, like, what's happening with these two today?
With these two
But yeah,
knuckleheads? What's happening with these two idiots?
He's only uncoachable if it happens again.
You know what? That's a good point. That's a good point.
Here's what I need you to ask him.
What?
Would he have ever got me a cup of coffee?
Hell yeah. Absolutely. I'm a team player.
We don't have to lie. We're
I'm
all
a complete,
friends.
no,
We
I'm
don't
a
have to lie.
complete team player.
All right, listen. We should probably introduce him. Stan Johnson, Loyola Marymount head coach. You guys are losing Cam Shelton.
Yeah.
And he was as productive as anybody in the WCC last season, including the big man, Jude Simmons, right? Where do you start replacing that? Because there's not going to be one guy. Like, you're not just going to turn the ball over to Juice Hill and say you got to get us 21-5 every night.
Yeah.
So how do you go?
Well, you just answered it. I got the job the height of COVID, in 2020, and recruiting's hard anyways. It's really hard when you're trying to turn a program that hasn't won in a while and trying to get guys. So, my first 2 years, and then even creeping into last year a little bit, depth has always been an issue for us. This is the first year I felt in recruiting we could go out and really kind of get our team. So to answer your question with Cam, we were always short at the guard spot. We're not going to do it with one guy. What I do believe we've done, we have great depth. I think I have 5 guys, 1 through 2, in the 1 and 2 spots that can all really play. And they can play how I want to play, which is I'm a big believer in multiple position handlers, dynamic guards that can all play off the pick and roll. So we have more guys that I think can play. Like if we were to start today, I couldn't even tell you who's going to start. I hope that's a good thing.
That's a great thing.
And not that we just have bad players and you don't know. But I think we have more depth. Last year when Cam was good, we were elite. When he struggled, we weren't as good, and it's not his fault. We just didn't have enough. But I think we're more dynamic. I think we're more balanced of a basketball team. And this shouldn't be a team where we have a guy averaging 18, 19. We should have a plethora of guys, double digits and close. Hopefully that's how we'll do it.
How do you take that next step, right? Like the WCC is Gonzaga and St. Mary's and a bunch of other teams, right? And you're up at the top of the league, finished 4th last year. How do you go from being better than the other teams to competing with Gonzaga and St. Mary's? What's the key to that?
Well, I think that's such a great question. It's a deep question.
Might take a few more. It takes
time,
right?
It's more than just X and O's. And my first few years, what I've tried to spend a lot of time on with our university, and I give them credit of what it takes to win. And oftentimes what it takes to win is not just what's on the floor. It's we got to get everything resourced correctly so we can attract the right guy. Because when you attract the right guy, you have a chance to win. And then we go from a place not trying to obtain wins, we're sustaining it. And I think for the first time at LMU, there is a alignment between our president, our AD, the board of, okay, we're going to commit to men's basketball. Now, as a coach, I got to do my part of keeping my foot on the gas. And, again, last year was great. I'm not very patient, but the last time I checked, though, we didn't get an NIT, which I thought we would, and we didn't go to the tournament.
Right.
So
want to do that.
We have a lot of work to get done. And I think our guys know that, and our practices have been truly competitive. So we feel like we're playing for something bigger. So hopefully that'll continue.
It's interesting because, again, in the league, you look at Gonzaga, and you're not going to have the resources and the support. No, nobody is, right? But then you look at, like, St. Mary's, and you're like, okay, it can be done. Because it's not like Randy has unbelievable resources or support, right? I mean, he's found a way to do it. You have, obviously, a great recruiting base. Like, that's probably one of the biggest advantages of the job, and certainly even with the portal, getting kids on the bounce back, right? Getting kids that maybe went away from home that you can get kind of on the bounce is probably equally as important. But you know, how else can you get into that? Like, third, and really you need like 3 teams in the tournament.
Yeah.
Like that's
Yeah.
the other part. It's
Yeah.
kind of known as a 2-team league.
Yeah.
You need it to be
Yeah.
something where, you know what, that third team
Yeah.
gets in every
Absolutely.
year.
And I think it's a combination of a lot of things. One, we just talked about a resource. You know, I've been so blessed, you know, as of the last 2 years. Like, I think the way our program is functioning is at a high level. You know, the charter everywhere, the way our guys eat, where they stay. You know, we're continuing to grow NIL. So there's some good things happening there. You know, the comment about Randy's elite.
Yes.
He's as good a basketball coach. The magic is in Randy Bennett.
That's a
And
good
hopefully
point.
a long time from now, you know,
You'll
someone
be
will
mentioned
say
like Randy
something like
Bennett.
that. But Randy's special. Scheduling, you know, out of conference, non-conference scheduling to position your team. And I've been an idiot probably since I've gotten here because I didn't come in and say, you know what, let's patty cake it and let me get my win record up.
Yeah.
We're playing guys, and we're going to do the same this year. And I think our league, you're starting to see that within the league.
Right.
People are starting to play, people not. That's the only way. You guys know it
That's the
better
only
than
way
I
to get
do.
the third
You're going to
team.
get to the 13.
It's the only way. No,
You
you're
got to
right.
play and you got to win.
Yeah, like Gonzaga and St. Mary's, you know they're going to be great. You got to pick them off, maybe, you know, get one on them. And then in your non-conference, you
got to take care of business.
Yes,
Which
yes.
it's hard, but that's what you got to do.
That's the reality of
Yeah.
it. Right, no doubt. Who else is going to step up this year? Like you said, there's a lot of competition. Who could you see stepping forward and being a guy? By the way, Kelly's still one of his hair and how hard he plays.
He's got it toned up even better.
love
I told him I like this look a little
You
better.
like it?
You know, the guy, and you know, the one thing about the portal and recruiting, sometimes like in the summer, we love our guys. And then they get here, you're like, oh my goodness,
You're like,
that's
I
not
didn't
what
see
I
the
signed
memo.
up for. The one thing I'll say with our team so far, everybody's been at least what I thought.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of guys, but the one guy I've been really impressed with is Lars Thiem.
Oh, yeah.
You know, like we've got Rick Azanza, who's 7'2", plays above the rim, elite defensive player, can rim run, block shots. Lars is a guy I think we can play through. Like going back, being a little more balanced. He is skilled on the box. He can score. And that's something we didn't have. I mean, last year we were probably last in the league in post-ups. You know, so when we didn't have it going from 3, now you got a guy you can throw it into and play through. So I think he gives us a different dynamic.
And he spent the
prepare
summer
for.
playing for Germany, right?
You know what? He didn't end up doing that. He was, but then he didn't. But I have been so impressed with, you know, his ability. One, I think he's better than what I thought. 2, he's really hungry to win. You know, I think he's motivated by that. You know, so that's always hopefully a good thing.
The one that's the kid that's really interesting to me here is Juice Hill, right? He was so good for Murray State in his last year at Murray State. Transfers to LSU, and it didn't work out for him, right? It was the wrong fit, wrong situation. Now he's coming back to the more or less the level that he had all of that success at. What have you seen from him this summer? What are you expecting to get from him this season? Are we going to see the Juice Hill that put up 36 at Memphis 2 years ago?
I didn't even know he got 36 at Memphis. So hopefully we'll get that. What he brings is speed. You know, we had a kid at Arizona State when I was there with her by the name of Jahi Carson. I don't know if you remember him. Who was,
he could go.
You know,
but he could go.
Yeah, Juice reminds me a little bit like that. You know, I mean, we're extremely fast. We want to play fast. He allows us to do that. But to what you just said, you know, here's a guy who won 30-some games. He knows what it looks like. How can we get him back to being close to that player? And if we can do that, it helps our team. But, you know, coming in the locker room, having the ball in your hands, seeing it and explaining it to our guys, you know, that's invaluable. You know, so he brings a lot of intangibles with him as well.
What's of all the changes lately, you know, NIL, transfer portal, everything going on, realignment, what worries you the most?
Well, two things.
You're a smart dude. Like
Yeah.
you look at this a little bit differently than a lot of people.
The two things that really worry me: realignment. I mean, we look at the Pac-12. Look what's happened to that league. Such a great league.
So sad.
And not only just the league itself. You're looking at these student athletes that are traveling. You know, you're going to ask a kid to go play in Rutgers, land in LAX at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, and by the way, go to class. You know, you talk about student athlete welfare. That's concerning. The other thing is name, image, and likeness. You know, where are we going with this? What are the boundaries? Are there going to be any stipulations around this? Like, it's, you know, I think there's a lot of benefit. I'm all for it.
Yeah.
But it's just.
It seems like a free for all right now,
It's a complete free for all, and everybody's operating a little different. We're not going to. It's going to be years from now. We see maybe what damage is done and what good it's done. Right. They need structure. They need guidelines. Everything in our country has that, except for this.
The NCAA.
Yeah.
A little late to the party.
A little late to the party.
And it's hard right now because they don't know what to do.
Exactly.
You know, Charlie Baker trying to leave it up to Congress, and not sure that's the right plan either.
Exactly.
I might be waiting too long.
Yeah. We need real leadership in that.
Yeah. No, I would agree 100%. All right. Well, listen. Great catching up.
I got one more. The roster that you've put together this year, you had a number of grad transfers. You have graduate fifth-year guys. You have upperclassmen up and down your roster. Looking at it, your top 10 are going to be guys that have all spent. This is going to be their third year at least in college, some of them fifth year in college. What value are you getting out of those guys that have been around for so long? I mean, you're old. Half your team could probably rent a car at this point, right?
Yeah.
So I think we're seeing that more in college basketball right now as a result of the fifth year COVID years and the transfer portal being available. How does that impact teams at your level?
I think, you know, you study college basketball, you look at the NCAA tournament, the teams that are winning, advancing, they're old teams, you know, old wins. And it kind of spoils you as a coach because you still have to teach and coach, but there's some things we don't have to start at square one, which makes it really hard. I'll be able to answer it better at the end of the year. Hopefully I want to stick with it because it makes you – I feel, you know, what worries me, high school kids, especially at our level, it's really hard. I feel I can go get a better player in the portal who can help me win now than a young high school kid, you know, so –
Right, if you're playing for now, but then you're saying to yourself, I'm sure you're fighting with yourself of like, well, but I can get a better caliber high school player now too because everybody else is going to the portal.
You could do that too.
What do you do?
You know, but my thing is like we're building teams, no longer programs. Because
year by year.
Everything's year to year. Right. So I think what these guys bring is just a level of understanding and being through the fire. You can't have experience unless you've been through it, and they've been through it. And I hope that's an intangible that'll help us get to the next level this year.
Stan Johnson.
Appreciate you guys. You guys are the best.
Coach. Great seeing you, man. Great being out here. And got to get out there. We got to get out there.
We'd love to see you guys.
No, we'd love to get out there.
Best of luck to see you.
Take care, man.
Thank you.
Stan Johnson, LMU head coach.
Yeah, he's done a good job getting them to a point.
I mean,
we're good. Two
top 4 finishes last 3 years in the WCC. Not the easiest thing to do, considering that.
Right.
Until this year, it was BYU, St. Mary's, and Gonzaga.
I mean, that's the key for this league, right? The key for this league is how do you find a way? And honestly, everybody's like, well, you got to schedule up. Well, yeah, you got to schedule up when you're ready to schedule up, though, because it does no good if you schedule up, but you don't win those games in the non-conference. So, like a Santa Clara, like that's the type of team, right? A Loyola Marymount. Those are kind of the type of teams that, if you schedule up and you pick off a few of these teams in non-conference, then you beat Gonzaga at home.
Yes.
Okay, then you're in the mix, right? Then you got a chance to get in.
I mean, that's the hard part about it too, is that you have to do things that are, frankly, very, very difficult to do. Like you're not getting home games against those Power 5 teams.
I mean, that's right. So you got to beat them you got to hope to get in a neutral court and on an MTE, right? And generally, again, Santa Clara is not getting in some of those MTEs where they're getting a chance to play two big boys. They're getting in some of those mid-major MTEs where they're playing like teams. And beating like teams for Santa Clara, it'll help get your net up a little bit.
And the other part that we haven't really discussed as much this week as it probably would deserve us discussing is that the expansion of all of these power conferences from the Big 12
it's going to hurt even more
to the Big 10 to
nobody's
the ACC.
Going to right.
They're not going to start playing less big games.
Right. No, they're going to play.
Right. We're
fewer non-conference.
We're probably going to see 22, 24 league games, and then
which
you
means
throw
fewer.
in,
Right. It means like 8 non-conference games instead of it went from 13. It had been like most teams were playing 13. Now they're down to 11. And then you're talking about it could be down to 9.
It's going to be less.
And if it's down to 9, how many of those you need like 5 bye games, a couple decent, and then you play like 1 or 2 more real big boy games, and that hurts the sport too. You know me, I beat the drum on that one, but like, man, that first week this year, it's bad.
It's rough.
It's bad until we get to Friday. There's not a lot of juice.
It's like a soft open for the college basketball season.
Which I know like Dan Gavin would like to see it stepped up. A lot of other people would, but it comes down to really the TV networks. And I actually don't even think it comes down to the TV networks.
You know what drives me?
I think it's more the teams.
You know what drives me crazy is that we get a lot of these great matchups, but they're coming in exhibition games that don't count. And I want to know, and I would love to get like honest answers from some of the coaches that are scheduling these games as to why, let's just say, Bill Self's return to Illinois. Why is that an exhibition? Why aren't they going to play that as a real game?
I don't know. I mean, it'd be great to have it as a real game the first week. They don't want to play it.
Exactly. But
and
why? Is it because they don't want to take the loss?
Well, here's my take on it.
Is it because they are so worried about...
Well, you're dealing with the same thing.
And it's not just, like, to be clear, it's not just Kansas and Illinois, right? It is... There are dozens of these exhibition games that would be some of the best non-conference games that we could get that are not being.
And I hope they move the Gavitt games to the first week. I think that would take care of a lot.
It's really the only sport where.
No, there's one. What happened recently? There was some other sport.
But like every other sport, it's accepted where at the start of the NFL season, right? You're not going to be what you are at the end of the NFL season. You deal with it. At the start of the NBA season, every one of those games count as much. But because it's college basketball, and because you're changing your rosters, we don't want to play games early on in the year. Like, come on.
Yeah.
That's stupid.
Agreed.
I don't get it. And I think it's bad for the sport overall. It's bad for the publicity you get. I thought Farnham, when we did our Hall of Fame game, that was Robbie Hummel.
Pen cap, same pen cap.
Hey, Robbie, where's the flood?
You don't have that type of name.
Where's the flood? But Farnham made a really good point.
Farnham did?
Yeah. When we were at the Hall of Fame, right?
Yeah.
And we were talking about conference expansion, and what he said was, and he's a Pac-12 guy. What he said was, it sucks that we're losing the Pac-12, but if that means that we have a Saturday game in early January between Arizona and Kansas that cuts through the football noise, right? Like, we need stuff that cuts through all of that noise.
That's fair.
Whether it's, Gonzaga and St. Mary's playing games, whether
there needs to be something done. There needs to be something done where it's, again, the coaches have no choice. Like certain schools, I mean, almost anybody, like you got to play one. Like they got to move the Champions Classic back to the first week. I don't care what the coaches say. Like, you got to move that back.
It should be the opening.
So then,
that should be the start of the college basketball.
So you got Kansas, that way you already have 2 big boy games one night. Then you add in and Gonzaga plays that first week. Somebody, right? I know a few always schedules well anyway. Play one the first week. Come out of the gates. Arizona's playing Duke this year. That's a great one, right? Have Arizona and Duke every year. They're in the mix. They're not that game, but they're in the mix.
Here's another thing that you should do is get the opening night off of Monday night.
Off of Monday night?
Off of Monday night. Like, look,
that's fine. You can do it Tuesday.
Monday night football is always going to dominate Monday nights in the fall.
Hummel's, like, I give you credit. Like, you look like you still have a little bit of energy. He probably went to bed at 10 o'clock after he hung out with Carrot Top. Till 1?
No, we went and got food with his manager afterwards.
Unbelievable.
We are.
You know what? Our next pod, me, you, and Carrot Top. You won't do it?
You can't afford them.
You can't even. I mean, you hung out with them all last night. You can't even get them on the pod? I have to book every guest.
Did he?
Wow.
I'm seeing you?
Amazing.
I'm doing it right now. This is where we're at. We're waiting for Steve Lavin, by the way, San Diego.
Hummel's arrived.
Head coach. I don't know where he is.
He's coming.
You see him?
Steve Lavin coming, and they're coming from another station. So we're gonna have San Diego's Steve Lavin coming up here soon.
I'm much more worried about Hummel popping up. Is it Carrot Top Live? Is that what it is? That is what Carrot Top looks like.
Wow.
There's not even orange anymore.
It's changed, man. It's changed. The picture. The picture. Man. What is that? Is he like? He's got his like shit on your.
Dagan, look it up and put it on the screen. It's one of the.
Wow. Trying to leave?
Yeah, come sit down.
Now,
for Steve Lavin.
What do you want to do? Just want to do it now?
Yeah, come sit down.
All right, sit
Jump
up.
in.
That's fine.
Yeah.
What's up, man? Jeff Goodman, how you doing? Good to see you.
Rob
What's up,
Dauster.
man? How are you? You guys good?
Rob Dauster, good to see you.
Tired
We
yet?
are live.
No?
We are live. It is a hot mic. We are live. It is a hot mic.
We're live. Grab the mics. All right, we got Ryan Nembhard, Anton Watson here. And all right, I'm coming clean. I thought you were going to my alma mater. I thought you were going to Arizona. I put it out there, and you're at Gonzaga, which is great. I mean, honestly, I'm sure he's really happy because he's going to get the ball a lot more now and where he needs it. But, you know, you were at Creighton last year. Obviously, you get one step within a Final Four. What made you transfer to Gonzaga?
Yeah, like you said, we had a great year, a great bunch of guys, group of guys over there. I loved my 2 years there. It was a great time. Everything over there went well, but I just felt like I needed something different from a development standpoint, something different in terms of just a little bit of freedom for certain things I was looking for, and main thing was the development. If I feel like I want to get to where I want to go, I feel like something had to change, and I feel like Gonzaga was the spot for that, and then just the trust from Coach. I feel like they really trust me and believe in me, so. Yeah.
Well, your brother doing well and getting the league probably didn't hurt,
yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
I mean, I assume that, you know.
Yeah, definitely. So, I mean, that was part of it. But at the same time, I feel like I just want to make my own path. I'm not trying to – my brother always told me during the process, do what you want. I have no opinion on where you should go. He just wanted the best for me and make your own path. So that's what I did.
Anton, we heard from Coach Few that throughout your career, you were Drew Timmy's roommate. You were Drew Timmy's classmate for all of your classes. You were his roommate on the road. You didn't get sick of him? Like, at what point did all of that?
That's a lot of Timmy.
Yeah, that's
a lot of Timmy.
Yeah, but that is like my brother at this point. 4 years with him, it's like you don't even notice it. But yeah, we spend as much time as I think you can spend with any person together. So we still play video games together pretty much every night. So
really,
yeah.
Give me a good Timmy story that people don't know. Something that kind of shows.
Timmy story, yeah, without getting him in trouble. But
we can get him in trouble.
Let's get him. He's gone,
get him in
man.
trouble. Right. If you can't do anything new,
I would just think like we played BYU, and you know how they are with no cussing and stuff. And Drew, you know him.
Trying to get him going.
Yeah, he's just saying stuff that's not really cussing, but like borderline, just to piss everyone off on BYU, and it was pretty funny.
How important is it for you now, and how much you look forward to this opportunity? Because obviously you kind of had to wait your turn, you know, but you did a lot last year, and I think it was almost overshadowed. You know, which is easy with Drew. Yeah. Now it's at a point where you can be a guy. You know, you can be, and especially with having him as a point guard, like it doesn't get much better than that.
Yeah, I just feel like I've waited for this opportunity, you know, kind of to take that next step. Kind of been that role guy, team guy, but, you know, I feel like I need to just be a little bit more selfish, and, you know, it's going to help the team. You know, I'm never really a selfish guy. You can ask any of my teammates, but, you know, I think this year I took a lot of steps in my offense and just my growth. I think being selfish is not always a bad thing.
What are people going to see from you? And I guess maybe this is a better question for you. What is the country going to see from him that maybe we haven't seen yet, that maybe we don't know he can do?
Yeah, I just think you're going to see the all-around package that he has. I think he's a very skilled offensive player. He does a lot for us defensively, obviously. He's like a glue guy for us. He just brings everything together. He's a great leader. But I think you guys are really going to see the offensive side to him this year. You can really score it in the post. He's shooting the 3-ball better. So I think you guys are going to see a lot. And I'm just super excited for the whole group as a whole to get out there and start playing and show people what we can do.
How excited are you to get in that St. Mary's game?
Yeah.
I mean, your brothers, I'm sure, talked to you about it. One of the best. I mean, to me, he's never been, but I've been a bunch. Yeah. Like one of the best rivalries in the sport. Mm-hmm. You've obviously played in it, you know.
Yeah, I'm super excited for that. I've heard those games are crazy up there at St. Mary's, and I know they're crazy in the kennel. And I kind of watched a couple of the games last year, especially towards the end of the year. So I can't wait for those games. They got a bunch of great players. It's always a good battle, and it'll be a lot of fun. So I love big games, so I'm ready.
You obviously know about the Gonzaga program because your brother lived through it. Now that you're here, now that you're in it, now that you are a part of the team, what have you learned that maybe you didn't realize about it? What is something that kind of stands out about this?
Yeah, I think it's just something different. Like I always asked my brother before I was coming when I committed, like, what is it about them? And it was hard for him to explain. And now that I'm there, I kind of just get it. It's the culture, it's the vibe that you just get from being over there. Everybody's on top of their stuff, and everybody wants you to be about your work and get stuff done. But I feel like nobody's too pressed about anything. It's just like a cool, relaxed environment where you could just have fun, be you, and get your stuff done. So I think that's the biggest thing that I've learned about being a part of the Gonzaga program.
Have you seen Nolan more comfortable this year, playing alongside him, where he can kind of play off the ball a little bit more and just attack and score?
Yeah, I would say definitely. Nolan, he's taking big steps. I think everyone on the team's seen it, but I feel like he's more comfortable in his role, and you know we got Ryan here to help him out. You know, play the point guard position, and I think he just has a little bit more freedom scoring wise, which I feel like he's naturally a scorer. Yeah. So yeah,
you've seen both the Nembhards. Break down their games. Compare them. Who's better?
Who's better?
Yeah.
Who's better?
I ain't gonna say
you know,
better.
you have to, I mean, you're playing with him. Yeah. This is an easy one.
They actually play a lot alike. Like it's pretty obvious. You know, they're brothers, and you know they have some of the same characteristics. But when it comes to like competitiveness, they're both competitive. They both talk smack. You know, they get fired up. So. You know, I'm excited to see what he does this year, and you know, to play with them.
Right, so who's the better trash talker?
Yeah, that one you can answer. That you can answer.
I think he might have it.
But you haven't seen him in a game.
Yeah, I haven't seen him in the game, but I can already see. I can already tell he be feisty.
Really? Did your brother talk?
No, I feel like my brother does talk trash.
It's low key though. It's low key.
Yeah, I was gonna say like it's kind of different how he does it, right?
It might be like 4 words, but you gonna hear it.
I don't know. We're going to see this year. It's going to be fun.
Where did you guys get that out of your game? Not the trash talk, the IQ.
Yeah.
You know, just the instincts of, like, passing. I mean, I've talked to your dad a bunch. Mm-hmm. I don't – where did it come from?
I honestly think it is partly from my dad, just being the coach's son. Yeah. He always had camps when we were growing up, always coached us. So just, like, every day – being around him, doing drills at night when he was training other kids, and just like always being in the gym, I feel like that's where it comes from. It's just instincts at this point. We also played soccer too, so I feel like that helps a little bit.
Really?
Yeah, so I feel like that helped for sure.
What position were you?
I was a striker, right wing.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I was a goal scorer.
That makes sense. Yeah. Graham Ike, I know he's still kind of banged up a little bit dealing with the foot. What have you seen out of him? You know, having that post presence is obviously important to coach who's offense. Are you kind of seeing him come along a little bit? Are you seeing the guy that averaged like 20 and 10 at Wyoming?
Yeah, nah. Graham's a beast, and I think everyone knows that. If you just look at him, he's a beast. But yeah, he got good touch around the rim. Strong rebounds, good rim protector. Like feel like he brings a lot that this team's missing, and I feel like he's going to be a big piece of the team this year.
All right. Well, listen, we appreciate you guys jumping on with us. Great seeing you, and hopefully we'll get out there and see you later this year.
Thank you. Safe travels. Yep. Best of luck this season.
All right. No problem.
Thanks,
No problem.
man.
You got it. All right, Anton Watson, Ryan Nembhard,
Still waiting
two
on
key
Steve Lavin.
players. Yeah, those two are going to be. Anton Watson's going to be super important for them.
I'm really interested to see what he could end up.
Yeah, because again, he came in kind of pretty highly regarded. They haven't needed him to be a guy. Now they need him to be a guy.
Mm-hmm.
And again, he's got staff foul trouble too. That's the other part with him. You think about it.
Yeah.
Cool.
Perfect.
Saw you were busy, so
yeah, perfect.
doing something for American
Awesome.
Cancer.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how. Here's my question with that is, I think so much of what Gonzaga's season ends up being this year is going to be dependent on what those two returners develop into. Like
Hickman and Watson. Hickman's key. Hickman's key because again, another one like I thought he would do a little bit more last year. He was solid, but I expected more than solid. And I'm sure Mark View did too. And now it's like, all right, he can't be solid this year.
Mm-hmm.
Can't.
Well, I mean, if
they're not getting 20 from, Timmy anymore. They got to figure it out.
I do think that he will be at his best kind of as a complementary piece, right? Like,
yeah.
I think actually, to be honest, Andrew Nembhard is the perfect example of what we could see Nolan Hickman develop into this year, where, Andrew was at Florida and coming as a McDonald's All-American, like he was good. Yeah. And we're about to be joined by a couple guys here from San Diego.
What's up, guys? How are you? Jeff Goodman, how you doing?
Sorry, Dominic.
How are you?
Rob Dauster.
Dominic.
Good to see you, man.
How's everything? You guys having fun? So far, so good? Yeah.
Yep. Grab the mics. They're hot. We are live.
There you go. So, obviously, you've got a coach in Steve Lavin who's, look at what he's done over the course of his career, right? What's kind of the most important message that he's given you guys going into this season?
Yeah, so the most important message is grow, right? Grow as individuals off the court and on the court. We're really young this year with 9 freshmen, 10 newcomers, but 9 of them are freshmen. 9 freshmen. So, and then we even have some more that are considered freshmen because of red shirts and all that stuff. So we're a really young team. So grow. These are all high school guys, no college games yet. So the whole goal is to progress as we go, get better every single day in practice, work hard, and just keep getting better.
Wayne, you are the sole returning starter in this program with 9 freshmen, as Dominic just mentioned. Well, how do you feel that leadership role? How are you carrying that leadership role? What insight are you trying to provide to some of the newcomers?
For all the newcomers, I take pride in my leadership role. Whenever anybody has to ask me for help or I see a guy struggling, I just pull him to the side and let him know that it's good. Like, we're all here for you. We're all gonna mess up sometimes, and it's not gonna be easy. But we're all gonna do it together. I'm here to help you, whatever you need. So my leadership role, I've been flourishing in it. I feel like it's been very good for myself to help me build bonds with my teammates, the younger guys, really, and for myself as well. So.
All right, so which of the freshmen have stood out so far?
They've all stood out at different points.
Good answer.
Throughout.
Look at this. I like it.
Yeah. So at certain
You're
points,
not running for office, man.
from the beginning of summer to now, at different points, people have stood out, and we've had injuries, so people have gotten more opportunity.
Yeah.
For instance, right now, our starting center for the second half of last year, Stephen Jamerson, he's been hurt for a little while.
Yeah.
So Jimmy Olatakun, who's a freshman, big guy, he's been playing great. And then you have guys like Joey Chama, who's got an opportunity with different point guards being out. He's been great. Josh Hecht, opportunity. When opportunity knocks, he's ready. Same with Kevin Patton, Keon Kenzie. And then what we were talking about earlier is our two Europeans, Dragos and Santiago, Romanian and Argentinian.
Okay.
They don't even seem like freshmen the way they play the game.
Really?
They pass the ball so well, just like a stereotypical European would. Move the ball well, crazy passes that you'd never be expecting. Santiago's great. And David, who we forget about him a little bit, but he's been hurt, but he's a great player, great shot blocker, runs the court really well, can shoot the three. He can do it all. So we got a lot of freshmen. They all do different things.
How do you think you guys are going to play this year?
We're going to play super fast.
You are.
Absolutely.
This is what you
You
want.
look happy about it, huh?
I'm excited.
Let's
I'm
go.
super. Yeah, I'm ready. Young, fresh legs. Everybody's excited.
And you guys, will the key to that be that depth?
Yes.
Right?
Absolutely.
I mean, obviously, you're going to need those freshmen to be able to give you minutes.
Yeah, so our coach Lav wants us to press a lot this year. You know, get guys in. You know, just keep attacking, being aggressive defensively, offensively. Go first 6 seconds. You know, so we're really excited about that. Yeah, absolutely.
It's the way you want to play.
Right.
When you look at the WCC, obviously you got Gonzaga and St. Mary's at the top, and it's kind of everybody else. What do you guys have to do to be able to get into that next tier, to be able to be that team where you look up in February and like, oh, yeah, look, you know what, they got a shot.
Yeah. Well, I think from the 3 to 9 now without BYU, it's the margin for error is so little. I mean, if you look at our season last year, we beat San Francisco to start conference at San Francisco, which was a great win. We were injured. Eric Williams ended up not playing with an injury that was late. And then you have games where we play against St. Mary's even, and we're down, I think, 4 of our 5 starters, and we're within 3 points with the ball at the end of the game. So, and then Santa Clara, another close one. We ended up losing that one. Portland, really close, came down to the wire.
Some of those close games.
So all those close games, it comes down to little tiny things. So if we can clean up those details, I think we're going to be fine.
No, that's the key. Like, you got to win those close games.
Yep.
I mean, that's the difference between, you know, again, you win 4 games in the league, you win 3 of those.
Yep.
You know, it's a different deal.
Totally.
And you move up. Right. You know, where's most fun place to play? Where was it last year in the league?
I'll probably say most fun place to play was Gonzaga.
It is.
That
It's better than St. Because like St. Mary's and Gonzaga are very different.
Right.
But I think they're both really cool.
St. Mary's is cool. So it's a smaller arena.
Right.
But
like a
it's
gym.
packed
It's like a high
in, so
school
it just feels like it's shaking a lot.
Yeah.
Gonzaga's bigger. There's multiple fan sections,
Right.
you know. And it's just, you can just feel the energy as soon as you walk in. So those are definitely two top places.
Yeah, I believe last year we played St. Mary's like a couple days after Christmas, so it was a bummer because all the students were gone. They're at break. So don't get me wrong.
Good.
It was
It's
still
not
full.
the same.
It was still full, but it wasn't the same.
Instead of the students.
First
you get a
Gonzaga,
different type of crowd.
Gonzaga we play in late February, and the semester's just started. You know, they probably just got done with midterms.
They're ready to
something like that. Everyone was crazy. So student section was bumping for sure, but it depends on the time.
Yeah, no doubt.
You want to see me put him on the spot? What is a torero?
What is it? What?
Torero.
I don't know what a torero is. I can spell it, but I have no idea.
Yeah.
But what I do know, and you can answer me this after what a torero is. The view from your guys' campus is insane. It is like the nicest campus. Like if I went to Arizona, but if I had to do it all over again, I might go to San Diego.
Yeah.
It's that good. So what's a torero?
You
don't even know. He doesn't even know. He's asking me, and he has no idea. All right, this dude knows. Oh, he doesn't know.
It's kind of similar to a bowl. It's a torero, so it's like the Catholic version of a bowl from way back when.
Got it.
But that's the best description I could give you. Yeah.
Catholic version of a bowl. All right.
Yeah.
I'll take that.
Yeah.
I'll take that. Well, listen, guys, we appreciate you stopping by.
Thank you so much.
Have a great season.
Thank you.
Very nice meeting you guys.
Nice meeting
Best
you.
of luck this year, all right?
Thank
Safe
you.
travels getting home.
Take care, guys.
Thank you.
Yeah, that'll work. Yeah, whenever. It'll be on Field of 68, so you can get the replay too.
It'll be on
Twitter
YouTube.
and YouTube.
Yeah,
Both.
YouTube. Yep.
Thanks, man.
Thanks, guys. think we have Chris Gerlufsen.
We should have Gerlufsen coming up.
It's a direct hit. It's a direct hit. Both girls are dynamite.
You missed me. You missed. Just like your shot, you missed.
Did he hit you?
No, he missed. It was right in between. It was right in between. I messed up. Please start hucking things at you.
Please.
Chris in?
Yeah.
Grab him. You want to grab Chris? We're just going to do coaching. Yeah, I think.
What's going on, man? How you doing? What's up, man?
You too.
What's up, man? Good. You want to get back in here?
Yeah, you want me to get out?
Yeah, come on, get in. We got Doug Gottlieb back. We got San Francisco head coach Chris Gerlufsen.
Go outside. No, I guess
Yep.
yeah. Let's see. We'll figure it out. What's up, Chris?
Surrounded by greatness.
Yeah, I don't know about that. I mean,
mediocreness.
You got Gottlieb and me around you.
Tired of asking the same thing over and over.
No, we're good. We're good. We're gonna finish strong. We started it at 8 a.m.
What time you guys done?
4 o'clock.
We still
Are
have
you
an hour
almost
and a half
there?
left.
Almost there.
Yeah, a couple more. Then I can, play blackjack before I hit my.
I already knew you were trying to
before
get
I
to the
hit
table.
my,
That's right.
My late flight here.
You got a red eye?
I got a red eye. Nothing worse. How you doing?
I'm doing great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't like red eyes? Like I do, but I don't sleep on planes. So no, because then I get there.
No.
Now it's a little bit easier now when I don't have a kid at home. You know what I mean? Like when my daughter was younger, then you get home and you'd have to, parent. Now I can, whatever. My
You
wife
didn't
doesn't
parent
wanna see me
anyways.
anyway.
Like, who are you kidding?
I don't think he was.
Wow, look at that.
No, I'm just being honest. Like, how much did you really do?
What?
Like, you get home.
What do you mean?
Nothing.
You had a wife. Like, she was doing stuff too. You have
Yes,
one kid.
But you get home, you didn't want to be
One
like,
kid,
I'm
like,
going to
dude.
bed. You didn't want to right? You get home, you don't like, hey, you know what?
No, well, the secret to the red eye is, I think.
You got to sleep. That's the secret. There's no secret.
Yeah, but the real secret is, like, what you got to do. You can take a little nap when you get there, but you got to plow through that day. That's
true.
And then that night, whatever time you go to bed, you're going to sleep like a baby.
Agreed.
Yep.
Agreed.
And
You got
then
to
you're
plow
right back
through.
on-
You
you're right
can't
back
do
on
that
the right
afternoon
schedule.
nap. Then you wake up, and you're like, I don't know what day it is. I don't know where I am.
No, I agree.
You're screwed for days.
All right, Chris. So, you've had some time now to kind of get your feet wet with this program, leading it. Obviously, you take over for Todd. We're not going to say any good things about Todd.
Right.
All right. We don't. He's already got his ego's big enough.
Correct.
How comfortable do you feel with where this program is now compared to, again, when you got there?
It's a good question. I think 120 games last year probably fell short in some areas that I had expectations for, which is how it should be, in my opinion. But I love where our program is. I think the way that we finished the year last year, the way we were playing at the end of the year last year, I think there's something to be said when you're playing your best basketball at the end of the year. It says a lot about the guys in the locker room. And just where your program is. And I'm excited about our newcomers. I'm excited about the returners. I think we have some guys who are really going to take a step, Marcus Williams being one of them. And couple that with some of our incoming guys, I think we have a chance on paper to improve on where we were last year. We have high expectations for ourselves.
It's really interesting, having been around the program before you took over and now after you took over, like, there's a legit investment in it, and it was missing for so long. And the arena being redone, but I also know that you've been able to generate some NIL stuff as well. It's like a sneaky little secret that people in the league know, but I don't know if word's kind of gotten out that, like, San Francisco's kind of all in on hoops.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's credit to our president, our administration, board of trustees, and on down to our athletic director. You can't just say you want to be good. It doesn't just happen. You need the resources to be able to charter. You need the resources to be able to open it. We're opening a new practice facility, which is directly connected to our arena. That'll open next week. And we've been able to operate in the NIL landscape. And there's no secret formula. I just think you have to make a commitment to want to win. And thankfully, I feel like we have a lot of things in place to help us with that.
Is it easy? So, like, in a city like that, you would think, like, all right, I'm in Boston. Like, Boston College can't do NIL.
Right.
They can't because it's all, like, people care about pro sports.
Mm-hmm.
So why have you guys been able to navigate that and be successful so far?
I think we have great tradition, number one. I think there's some people who have been in and around the program that value what it means when USF is relevant. And there's some people who have put a lot of their kind of hard-earned money into trying to get behind our collective. And we're a pro sports city too. But it's been interesting to see we're a very international feel when it comes to our roster. Some of what those kind of opportunities have looked like for our international players. I think it's been unique. It's been interesting. But I think we have a pretty good thing going in that landscape.
Talk about the international guys.
Mhm.
Mike Shravjans. Did I get that name right?
You're correct.
Yeah, there
Yeah.
we go. See, how about that? I can pronounce names.
Yeah.
He's got a little bit of hype. He had a little bit of buzz coming into last season. I think that was a big get for you guys.
Yeah.
What have you seen from him so far? What are we going to see from him this season?
I think he's like a throwback player. There's not a lot of pass-first point guards left. You might have been one of them. But
a long ass time ago.
the game comes super natural to him. He's very good in the pick and roll, being 6'8", has the ability to see over the defense. But he surprised me with his athleticism and with his ability to shoot the ball. Those were his ability to shoot the ball was one of the knocks on him. Yeah. And we take great pride in being able to space people out and shoot a lot of threes. And he's really surprised me in that aspect of his game. And he had the ability and the opportunity to go through 8 or 9 NBA workouts. And there's something to be said for that. I think
It's a huge get for you guys, though, because you beat out some big boys for him.
Yeah,
right?
I mean,
like you said, part of the reason you got him was the international community.
Yeah.
That was
I
a big
mean,
part.
San Francisco has one of the biggest Mongolian populations in the country. And they did a lot of the recruitment for us, and making them feel welcome. And it's been kind of cool to see our ticket sales go up. I think we're going to have a very strong Mongolian presence at our home games, and we're tapping into a different fan base.
What are you going to do there? You got to.
We're going to have to do something. We're going to have to
Have you
figure
guys
it
been
out.
there?
San Francisco?
Yeah.
I've been there, but
Since they
before
redid
that-
it?
No, I did it
They did a really good job.
about 5 years ago.
It was a dungeon. It was a dump for a long time. And they did a really good
Did
job.
they?
Like, it's the same place, but just way cooler.
I love where it is and everything. Like,
Yeah.
it's really
I mean,
cool.
Yeah,
you
like
guys
you-
have an open invitation. We got to get you out
No,
to
I'd
a
love
game
to
for sure. Yeah.
It's interesting. How do you think the conference evolves? Because the bottom has risen, right? And now you take away BYU, who they didn't win the league, but they had a lot more resources than a lot of people in the league. So it feels kind of bunched together. Is that, and it used to be like the Gonzaga tier, and then maybe St. Mary's and BYU next tier, and then another tier, and then the bottom tier.
Yeah.
Is there 2 tiers? What does it feel like?
He wants to be in that,
I know.
Right.
I know.
It's a great
but
question.
like again, you guys won 20 games, and like that's a year where you thought you left some meat on the bone.
Yeah.
You know,
for sure. We left some chips on the table for sure in terms of some games that we probably thought we should have won and didn't. But I think WCC, we're in a kind of this transitional period with conference realignment and all that, where our league and a lot of leagues need to figure out how we're going to differentiate ourselves between, say, the Mountain West or the Atlantic 10. We need to kind of think outside the box. And I feel good about where we are as a program in terms of being able to be relevant with the better teams in our league, the Gonzagas, the St. Mary's, but we also got to do it. We got to stop talking about wanting to compete with them, and we got to do it.
I mean, I feel like we've heard this from every team for so long, and again, it's hard. But I mean, at one point, St. Mary's was where you were at, right? And then they got into that area now where we kind of talk about it as Gonzaga and St. Mary's.
Yeah.
It wasn't like that for a while. I assume you want it to be Now,
No,
right? Gonzaga,
I mean,
St. Mary's, and USF.
Yeah, I mean, we had Gonzaga beat at home last year and choked the game away. 2 years ago, we had St. Mary's at home and didn't close the game out. And sometimes it's a matter of just busting
You were
through the
dominated.
door. And we need
Bennett
to do
said
that.
He said his fourth year. It took him till year 4 to beat Gonzaga.
Right.
And that after that, like you said, you kind of broke the door down, and then you feel like, okay, you know what? Yeah, we did it. It's the difference between saying you can do it and doing it.
There's also probably the hardest thing to teach in coaching is how to win, right? And I'm sure you yourself. What did you learn personally from the Gonzaga game, for example, on what you could do different moving forward?
I mean, number one, the value of following a scouting report. Literally, we followed it to a T for 36 minutes, and we had a 2-minute stretch where we lost our minds and deviated from the plan, and next thing you know,
that was it.
Bolton hits 2 back-to-back stop behind threes. We said, don't go under all game. We went under at the worst time, and that's why they're one of the best teams in the country. They made us pay.
Is that fatigue or is that discipline, right? Because
Probably a little bit of both.
Yeah,
probably a little bit of both.
I was with the program a couple weeks ago, and they had a practice plan, whatever, and had some practice notes. And then you go through like a 3-hour practice, and they ask guys about a practice, and the whole idea behind it is all that stuff you say and you drill and but then you get in games at home, places going crazy, you're exhausted, you're barely listening, and you just forget.
No,
right?
It's a good point.
You just forget. And it doesn't make you a bad kid, doesn't make you an idiot, but you do dumb things sometimes. Sometimes it's the energy of the building, or the moment. Sometimes it's just fatigue, which changes how everything happens.
That's a good point.
I want to ask Chris, in a city like San Francisco, where there's so much to do beyond just sports, right? Where there's the 49ers, where you have the Golden State Warriors, where you have the Giants, where you have all of these different pro sports teams. What do you have to do to cut through the noise? What do you have to do to be able to get people to say, okay, the Dons are here, come see us. This is fun.
Right. Well, I think some of it has to do with the investment that you talked about from a resource standpoint, but there's some of that needs to go into how you market the program, how you position the program in the community. And I think we've started to see what that should look like. That's part of it, but you got to win too, and you have to be consistent. I think our international flavor bodes well. I think that's a different kind of element to this year's team. We have a Mongolian player. We also have a Chinese player. That will tap into a different segment of the fan population in the city. So I'm excited. I think we are on the cusp. We just have to keep pushing. You can't ever be.
You got to get out there knocking on doors.
Absolutely.
Just go door to door.
I'll do anything.
Go with college.
Most improved player in your roster.
They'll shut the door right in your face.
through the fall, most improved player in your roster.
I'll give you 2 guys. Marcus Williams, not even from a necessarily a performance standpoint, from a leadership standpoint, and from a consistency standpoint. He's been a guy who's shown that he can play at the highest level, but he's had way too many ebbs and flows to his game. Have spent so much time with him in the offseason of just trying to empower him and get him to be an extension of me. He would be one, and he's tough as nails. So I'm super excited about his transition. And then Isaiah Hawthorne, who's also here. He's a guy who would not say 2 words if you put the microphone in front of him 2 years ago. And, again, we've just poured into him. And I think he's still not even close to where he can be as a player, but 6'8", can dribble, pass, and shoot. And we have a lot of versatility if you look at our roster. Positional size is a lot different than probably what it was a year ago. And I think that'll allow us to be better on both sides of the ball. Yes. Appreciate
Thanks,
you guys.
My man. Great seeing you. And,
Thanks, Rob. Appreciate it, man.
We'll try to get out there this year.
Please. Anytime, you guys are welcome.
Appreciate it, man.
Awesome.
It's a real thing, though. I played in we used to have the Golden State tournament when I was a kid. And we played the championship game there, and it was, I was like, this in San Francisco at the arena.
What was it, like a 4-team deal? Like what?
No, it was like when I was in 8th grade or something.
Oh, okay, got it.
And I just remember going in like, this is where they won national championships.
I
It
know,
was
it's
so
crazy.
bad.
I know.
Dark.
That's
Yeah.
how it always was.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. I think a lot of people do forget about the history. Like you mentioned it, and like sometimes you just forget because there hasn't been, the recent history doesn't stack up to like the dudes who came in. All right.
Hopefully we get back to that.
Appreciate it, my man. You too.
Thank you.
Good luck, Chris.
Are you guys bringing any players or not?
No, we're just going to coaches. Yeah. We've just done coaches.
What's in there?
Yeah.
What's in there?
Yeah, I need it. I need it. Trust me.
So we're waiting on now.
How was your radio show, Doug?
Great.
Yeah? What did you talk about? What was your lead story today? What did you talk
We
about?
did Dodgers. Just on how you can say, hey, it's baseball. 2 best hitters go 1 for 21.
Is that right? They 1 for 21?
Betts and Freeman. And the one was an infield hit.
Really?
And it was reviewed.
That ain't pretty.
And then
There comes Lav.
we have Lav.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Go
it's gonna
10
take
minutes.
forever. Good luck.
Mm-hmm. Good point.
Over under is what?
All right.
What up, Lav?
There he is. Steve Lavin. How you doing, Lav?
What's going on, man?
Pleasure. Yeah, he's back in Diego. He lives.
Then close to the kids.
Yeah. Way better.
How many media days do you think you've done in your career?
That's a great question. Probably 30. Huh?
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
This
how about
was
as did you do them as a broadcaster too?
Yes, just to do the
The Big
homework,
Ten?
like Big Ten
Yeah, the Big
or
Ten
Pac,
ones. That's what I figured.
Pac-10 and
Yeah.
like what else we might, and maybe some Big East too.
Yeah, so you've done it. You've done a ton.
This
No,
was
this
good.
one's great. This one's great. It was a good move. Putting it
Yeah,
together.
night and day from the
Yeah,
Orleans,
really good.
right? I was like,
So how you doing? How's life down in San Diego has got to be pretty good.
yeah,
No?
we're enjoying it.
Yeah,
It's a beautiful campus. It's
beautiful.
a great academic school. Our leadership has been outstanding. Jim Harris, our president, and our AD, Bill McGillis, and we're learning. Like we learned a ton from last year, and we're young. We got 10 freshmen.
That's what I heard.
Yeah, so we kind of went the other way because the fit at San Diego is never going to be like a turnstile where you bring 10
Because of
in,
academics?
10 go out. Yeah, it just and the whole fabric of the school was a women's college first, then it was co-ed, Division II. Early 80s, they go Division I, and they've kind of grown as a school because they're academics. So they're not.
Hey, there's no way Gottlieb could have gotten in, right? Zero chance.
I went to Notre Dame, bro. Speak for yourself. Speak for yourself.
Hey, I got into the
You took 6.5 years to graduate from Arizona.
5.5. It was
The
5.5.
Arizona. Hold on, let me take that Arizona. I'm good. I'm good.
I was actually early NIL now that I look back at it or early portal. I was San Francisco State Division II, University of San Francisco, the Catholic school in our league, and then Chapman University Division II. So 3 schools over 5.5, maybe even 6 years.
Maybe even.
So you had the COVID year before COVID.
Right, could have been like that last semester. I'm not even sure what happened.
He doesn't know about the Chapman Panthers, though.
No.
Downtown Orange is awesome.
The Orange Circle.
Oh, Orange Circle's
Good film school. They're good. They're
film
really
school.
strong film.
Are they?
TV,
Yeah,
media.
law school as well.
Yeah, business school now.
Bob, what made you get back into coaching? Because you could have done the TV thing forever, right? You
Yep.
could have done it the rest of your life and been fine with it.
I enjoyed the TV.
What made you get back into coaching?
You miss the 2 stints, right, between UCLA, St. John's. By year 5, you start to miss the competition, the camaraderie, just being on a college campus, your coaching staff, working with a group towards these common goals. So Doug and I were together at ESPN, and then actually we're together some at Fox, overlap there. And I enjoy it. There's a better work-life balance in broadcasting. You're undefeated. You never lose a game. You really have that off-season to do what you want with it, Where coaching's 365, proposition, constant problem solving. But it's interesting, by like year 4, for sure by year 5, 6 and 7, you're kind of looking and seeing if there's a good fit. But I wasn't going to just take any job anywhere, like something that makes sense. San Diego, San Francisco, I had interest in, They were West Coast schools.
Was it West Coast and the city?
West Coast, the city, where you think you could be effective in recruiting.
Well, he doesn't drive either, so he needs somewhere you
True.
right?
You don't
Yeah,
drive?
When was the last time you drove?
Come on.
New York.
What?
Yeah, I
You
bike.
haven't driven since New York?
No, I
Come
bike.
on.
I bike. I walk. Uber when I need.
Really?
You know, yeah. And that's
You
how I lost
literally
35 pounds.
Haven't driven
Haven't-
like at all.
No,
Don't have a license now.
no. I've got my passport.
Yeah, that's unbelievable.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
I know
Just
you didn't
never
know
had
this.
it. At some
Did
point,
not know that.
Yeah.
at some point, I might.
That's what you have to bring.
This has
Passport.
advantages though when you use this versus a driver's license.
Yeah.
Suddenly, it's like you get some perks and you get an upgrade here and there. They think you're an ambassador, a diplomat. Or they think you're someone important.
That's
It's like,
right.
yeah.
That's right.
That doesn't drive at all. Okay, so what's it like 10 freshmen? And like again, for people who don't know, old school Lav, before he got to UCLA, he was the energy clinician. He'd come in with these booty tight Purdue shorts on, Purdue
Play hard,
shirt,
play hard, practice
and do
shorts.
stance and react.
Yeah.
Okay.
The
Old
booty
school
shorts were
fundamental.
underneath the practice shorts, just so we're clear.
Right.
I wasn't coming in with a banana hammock or something, or a Speedo.
So have you broken out like old school pivoting, passing, fundamental? Because you bring in freshmen, you literally have to teach them everything.
No, there's no doubt that you got to be patient, but also move at a fast enough clip where you accelerate the learning curve so you're ready to start playing games with a young team. Couple of things. I coached the youngest team in UCLA's history, youngest team in St. John's history, and now the youngest team in San Diego's history. So the prior
UCLA's history, though, you had
experiences-
like Baron Davis and
Matt Barnes.
Those are good young players. They were
Yeah.
slightly more talented
Yeah.
young players.
You guys don't sleep on the Toreros.
I understand.
This
but
class.
if
We
you
just
have,
don't know who these
do
guys
you have a
are.
Baron
Right.
Davis?
I can't
There-
name any of these guys.
There
We learned what
are
Torero
Barons
actually
unique.
is today. That's right.
There's only one Baron Davis. He was unique.
Yes.
But we do have probably 4 or 5 kids that would play on the UCLA or St. John's teams, and for me, that's the easiest way to figure out where we're at. I just can only look to the past and say, okay, based on skill, length, speed, quickness,
Could they have played?
instinct, intelligence, and we have Kevin Patton out of Rancho Christian, very similar to J.R. Henderson, maybe an inch smaller, but that type of game. You remember, kind of like slow-mo, has a little like a combo of slow-mo and J.R. Henderson. Keon Kenzie out of Taft High School was a lefty slasher, ridiculous bumblebee kind of activity, and has good length. So there's
like all California for the most part. You don't need to
it was a
leave
mix.
much.
I mean, there were a lot of Californians. We have a kid from Romania, a kid from Argentina. So there's
Argentina? Is that what he said?
Yeah.
You got caught up in the Romania thing. I got it.
Romania, Argentina.
Labs.
It's just Rizzuto. I got it.
Argentina. Yeah, exactly. Well, that's my dyslexia and dysgraphia kicking in too. Start transposing letters and countries and networks that I've worked for. It's tough, you know.
It's interesting though because it feels like there's so because the high majors are recruiting the top 100 and the portal, that there's this huge gap of guys that are normally would be going to a higher level of basketball out of high school, but instead you've ended up being able to gobble them up.
Yeah, surprised that, you know, a number of these freshmen were available, you know, and you almost are kind of like, why? Is there something we don't know?
Yeah.
You know, like, so you're looking deeper into the transcripts, you're looking deeper
Then
into
you realize
his
it's
high school
just
coach. They're
because
like,
everybody's
no.
getting transfers.
Exactly.
That's it. Yep.
So, and that will be a factor. We talk about it with our kids. We're open and direct about it, saying, hey, we're young, so we're going to have to offset our youth by bringing the exuberance, the passion, the energy, by activity, by being disruptors, by keeping teams off balance, by utilizing the depth that we have, because we have a lot of interchangeable parts. So and they know we're picked 8th, and we struggled last year, but it's such a different group. And one of the beautiful things about coaching the young teams is there's a naivete, right? They're what they don't know kind of deal. They're like, you know, thinking, hey,
that's the Seth
we can get
Greenberg
things
line.
done.
Gottlieb, that was the
You
Seth
know, like, hey.
Greenberg line. He always tells me that.
So they don't know what they don't know?
About me.
You don't know what you don't know?
I don't know. Basically.
That was his way to dig.
Don't know anything.
You told me once when I was talking about getting a coaching job, you're like, just so you know, 90% of college basketball coaching is not coaching.
Right.
Right? So with the 10 new guys with the portal works both ways. The reason nobody wants to take freshmen is they don't play, they're out.
Mm-hmm.
And they do play,
They're out.
and they're really good.
That's true.
They're out.
Yeah.
How do you manage that?
Well, you have to, on a, constant, deliver a good experience. I think the connection or rapport with your players is paramount, and they're less likely to leave you. It doesn't guarantee they're going to stay, but I think if you do have a strong relationship with your players, and you have a history of having good relations with your players decades later, because a lot of people will talk, it's a good bumper sticker, a mantra, or a hashtag about family, but then they're not really there as a coach for their players as the decades go by. And I think one thing we do have with my ties to Purdue and UCLA and St. John's is there's a real network, a real sense of familiarity of a family. And so it doesn't mean there won't be some players that blow up that power conferences don't come in to try and get. We hope to have a war chest, by this time next year, to be able to keep a player that maybe has an opportunity to go by being able to help with the NIL, or do strategically. We're not going to just have a turnstile class of 10 out, 10 in, but occasionally a fit for a player that maybe from a power conference is transferring back west, or was not playing as much as he expected, and so he wants to come to San Diego and try and elevate our purposes. So I think we could be strategic.
Why would anybody want to listen? Why would you want to leave San Diego?
Yep.
And the academic, honestly, that's the other part. If you have a relationship with the kids, good relationship, plus you have that, it's not like a kid's going to leave for anything.
No.
Right?
No.
Now, again, a high major goes in with $300,000, that might be
Right.
a different deal. But
Yeah.
for the most part, I would assume retention at a place like San Diego would be better
Yep.
than
And
a lot of other mids.
I agree. It's a smaller school. It's a more personalized kind of education, smaller ratio of teachers, to students. And so that lends itself to, I think, just a better sense of community than maybe you have at a giant school. I coach at the big schools like Purdue and UCLA, something to be said for that. And then the smaller Catholic schools like St. John's and San Diego. And while they're all different, there's some similarities between St. John's and San Diego in that regard.
I think we're in an era now where you're seeing a lot of guys that were the old school coaches leaving the industry because of all the changes that we're seeing from NIL, transfer portal, Jay Wright, Jim Boeheim, Coach K, Roy Williams. You're getting back in.
Yeah, I enjoy the problem solving.
You needed chaos in your life.
Yeah,
if you need
using
chaos,
some
and you want to solve
ingenuity.
problems, come join us on Field of 60.
Perfect.
You got
That's
all
right.
the chaos right here.
That's good to know. I got a seat. I'll be back.
You'll be back. That's right. You always got something.
But you do have to kind of enjoy the riddle, kind of the crossword puzzle of working with young people. And then with the change in college athletics, how do you adapt? How do you adjust? How can you learn? We learned a lot from the time I became the coach last April or April of 2022, I guess it was, to now. Those 18 months, our staff learned a great deal. I've got a better sense of the landscape, so I can coach better with that knowledge and experience of missteps, mistakes we made that I would never, do again. And so oftentimes we're learning from our setbacks. We're learning from our missteps. And but I do enjoy, how do you use resourcefulness and ingenuity? How do you get creative with the current landscape so we can no longer be in 8th place? We want to climb. And I think the league's really strong. Love this conference. But you've got Gonzaga and St. Mary's at the top, who've been there for decades. But when you go 3-8 now with BYU moving on to the Big 12, it's throw the names in a hat. USF had a good year with Todd Golden. They're in good hands with Chris. Herb Sendek does a nice job at Santa Clara. They're trying to get back to the tournament for the first time in years. We're trying to get back to the tournament for the first time in years. Pacific is trying to get back to the tournament for the first time since probably Bob Thomason, when they weren't even in the West Coast Conference, right? So it's not like last year we won at San Francisco, who had a good year, finished in the top half. We beat Loyola, who finished in the top half on our home court, and we should have beat Santa Clara. We coughed it up. We were up 12 with a couple minutes, and thanks to me on the sidelines, made some missteps and cost our team a win. But In other words, what's good about that is our players realize, like, there's not Gonzaga. Yes, right now they're at another level.
Yep.
St. Mary's has got a buzzsaw, consistent, kind of successful program. And then 3 to 8.
Yeah.
Now that
Wide
BYU's
open.
out of there, let's see.
Yeah, wide
like,
open.
you know.
No, you
it's
can move up quick these days because of, again, like you said, you got to be older probably, right? I mean,
Yeah.
my guess
Yeah.
is you're hoping you retain these guys, this group, right?
Yeah,
Becomes
exactly.
older, and then you can make the jump.
Yeah, try and be a surprise disruptor
Yeah.
this year. And if we exceed that, even better. But if not, you're really putting something in place for this 24-month, the 36-month, right, 3-year kind of plan.
Lab, great seeing you, my man.
Great seeing you guys. Enjoyed it.
All's
Yep.
well.
I'm glad they let you get in some
Yeah, right.
and, you know,
little
have a little elbow room
Little
for my
bit.
man here,
Little
the
bit.
dapper one.
That's right.
Great seeing you. All right, guys. I'll get that driver's license the next time I can
Yeah,
take you
yeah,
guys
that's
out for a
right,
bite.
that's
All
right.
right.
All right, San Diego coach Steve Lavin, and we got. Let's see.
It's so funny. Like I work the exact opposite way. I like to drive everywhere. I mean, I got an e-bike. He didn't have an he needs to get him an e-bike. E-bikes are big in California.
What's e-bike?
Electric bike. It's like
Oh yeah.
it's really like a moped, but they're not mopeds. So
But
they're
they act like you're gonna pedal, but you don't really
How fast
pedal.
do they go?
Is
When
it
they go,
that
like
one?
20 miles an hour?
no, they go like 35,
Is it the one
40
where
miles
they
an hour.
like
You can
kinda
pedal.
but nobody pedals?
Yeah.
Right.
Yes. Exactly.
Okay.
They're dope. You can go super fast on them. They're
Really?
really cool. Yeah.
How much are they?
I mean, you can get from a beach cruiser with it to they can go from like $1,000 to $4,000 or $5,000.
Jeff, the last thing that we need is you getting on
I want
a
something
motorized two-wheel vehicle.
If you go to,
I've
they
seen
don't
you
have
drive.
them when you go to like the
I want
Cape in the
something at
summer.
The Final Four. I want something that I'm going to bring in the arena at the Final Four to get around because it's so big. Imagine me in there with like a scooter.
I mean,
buzzing
the
around.
scooters are what they still everybody has now. The electric scooters. But by the way, just so you know, location doesn't matter anymore. Like you're going to have to. Kansas State is the perfect example. Used to be the worst job in the Big 12. Why location? It ain't anymore. You know why? Because it's all there at that level. At that level. Now it's different at this level.
That's the only thing I'm thinking. Is with San Diego, it's
No,
again,
you're thinking like
it's
a reasonable human being.
It's a little
Where do you
bit
want to?
harder because like the parents are not necessarily. I'm not saying like again. If
Look,
real money's involved. If real money's involved, I get it. They're
It
not.
doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I swear to you, you and I think alike, okay? Because we're adults, and we're like, dude, would you leave San Diego for $50,000 when you're probably gonna have to use it to pay your rent anyway? You're gonna lose some in taxes, and you don't even know if you're gonna play where you're in a good spot. Of course you would. But if you're a kid in college, like, wait, I can make 50 there, and what they do is they wrap in the Alston money, and your Pell money. And your scholarship money, and then they throw in some more. They're like, "Look, it's a $75,000 package."
Right.
Really, it's not. But the point is that and a lot of the portal stuff is not over what actually happens. It's over the whispers and rumors of what everybody's getting out there.
Of course.
There, it's a lot like playing professionally
real.
overseas,
Right.
where what'd you get? And you
They
ask the
all
guys.
lie.
It's all a lie.
Right.
Get half of what you
Did
say.
you lie all the time on that?
What in
Or were
terms of
people lying
overseas?
to you? Yeah.
No, I can tell you exactly what I made. I don't care.
No, like were you? But again, like when you hear kids telling other people, they're inflating it. Agents
course.
are inflating. Everybody's
course.
inflating.
Yes.
So it's like you don't even know.
There are
Nobody
some places
knows.
that there's real money.
Yeah, of course.
You know,
Of course.
I mean,
I think we know what those are.
what the other part that's amazing is the other end to it, which is the guys going pro or the guys, Kofi Coburn, right?
Oh yeah, Drew Timmy.
Huh?
Drew Timmy had a year left. He's in an exhibit 10,
And he could
No, I
probably
get it.
make
I
he
get
could
it,
probably
but he's
make
ready.
$1 million.
Correct. He left probably a good. I mean, he might have left $900,000 on the table.
Sure.
At the end of the day, if he goes like G League or whatever, yeah. I mean, now again, he was ready. Drew
Was he?
Timmy was. Yeah, I think he had it with it.
I think he'd had it, but I mean, there's no reason that he couldn't expand his game, become a 3-point, work on his shooting
listen,
threes.
he had 3 years to expand his game. Drew Timmy was.
No, he was what he was.
Yeah, he was what he was.
I don't know. I'm like, would any of us say, do you go, hey, man, you want to go back one more year to college, you're in your 20s, and you get to play basketball, and you make $900,000? Who would say no?
I bet you could say that to Drew Timmy in 5 years and he'd be like, shit, I probably should have gone back.
Yes.
But At the same
He's
time,
doing it now.
you get your degree. You
He
get
doesn't
through it
know.
all.
And when he went, he didn't know he would be an Exhibit 10. Doug, he thought he was going to get a two-way. And if he gets a two-way, then you know what?
What do you think the likelihood is Gonzaga leaves the league?
I think eventually, at some point, they will.
For the
I
Big 12.
don't know how quick. I don't know. I mean, again, I think it'll be a money decision.
It was a money decision, then you're gone.
Yeah, I think they'll look at everything.
I think it's for me. I think it's does the Big 12 want them? I don't think it's does Gonzaga want the Big 12.
Well, I think that's going to be the question.
Yeah,
It's like,
there's the Big 12, and I think because I think before they expanded to the Arizonas and Utah, there was pushback from the presidents like, we don't want to go up there for Olympic sports. It's how many more years, Mark, do you have before?
And how much are you giving them, by the way? That's the other part.
Yes.
What are you going to give them? Anyway, because they don't have football.
Yeah. Right, well, you'll give them a basketball
what's
share.
The value? What's the real value? Like the value for the Big 12 or whatever is to bring in an elite. It looks good.
Well, the value to the Big 12 is, and Yormark has talked about this pretty openly, is I think he envisions a world, because the way it works now is, I think it's, what do they say, 80%.
What are we doing?
80% of the value.
We're not doing players.
80% of the value is in football. 19% of the value is in men's basketball, and 1% of the value is everything else.
Yeah.
Right. And so what his working flat, remember, he used to run the Nets as kind of the finances of the Nets. His belief is you're massively undervaluing basketball, because basketball is an innings eater for all the sports networks and for all for all the streaming.
Yeah.
And if he creates the far and away the best basketball conference, then then can he break it apart in negotiation? Football still has its value, and then can he break it apart for basketball? And that's got to be part of whatever he's negotiating with Gonzaga. But it makes more sense now than it did before they had those schools in.
Come on, Leonard.
Good, Coach. How are you?
Great, man. What's up, man? How are you? Good to see you. How's everything?
Rob Dauster. Good to see you.
It's a pleasure.
How are you?
I'm good, man.
Yeah?
I can't
We're live.
I've
We're
been
live.
doing this long enough to have coached against this guy.
Is that true?
When he was at Okie State, I was at Iowa State.
You look younger than him.
I remember the scouting report vividly.
What did he say?
He
Let
was
him shoot. Let him shoot.
Oh, let me tell you, this is what we did. He was determined to lead the country in assists. So we said every time Doug penetrates, no one
Stay
comes
home.
off. No one comes
Stay
off.
home.
If he beats
I
us
literally
with 40,
missed layups because I was
he did.
Oh my
That's
God.
a fact.
Oh my God.
He did. That's a fact. That's a fact.
They had Jamal Tinsley and Marcus Pfizer. And
They had a great team as well.
They were pretty good. You going to give us your best you Stacy story that you
Oh,
you can't do that.
I can't.
that you can
I
share?
I can't give
You
you.
gotta have a good one that you can share.
Ah, man, these are classics, but they're R-rated, man.
right now.
I'm thinking like,
I'll give you credit though. That 2000 team that lost to Michigan State.
yeah,
That was small ball before small ball.
yeah, it was,
Right?
It was.
You had Pfizer playing the 5, or Stevie Johnson playing the 5,
Stevie.
who shot like 75% from the
We,
field.
we had 3 point guards.
Yes.
We had Jamal Tinsley, Mike Nurse, and Kentrell Horton, all point guards. Yep, all point guards, all JUCO.
Kentrell Horton was
Yeah.
thick.
Yeah.
That dude was strong.
Yeah, yeah, great kids, great guys.
How's your team going to be this year?
I think we'll be better.
Yeah.
I do. I think we'll be better.
What's the biggest reason? What?
Depth.
Yeah.
Depth. I think I can see the level of competition daily. We're replacing Jordan Ivory Curry with Layson Hallams Jr. From South Carolina State. He can shoot it, but he moves so well without the ball. It changes our offense. He reminds me of a Yaye from Gonzaga. Sure. Like he can fragment off from a set and get lost. The next thing you know, he's standing under the rim for a layup. He can do it over and over. Kind of changes our motion. That helps us a ton. We took a transfer from Boise State, Burke Smith, who I got a chance to spend some time. I was spending time with Leon, and Leon said he'll do well for you. So that'll give us some size in the middle. Mekhi Richards will play a lot this year. Transfer from Eastern Washington, really athletic, playing well. If we can be healthy, I like us. I like our group. I do.
Hit the portal,
It's
right?
a- yeah, it's
Got to
a-
hit the portal.
Yeah, you guys. That's a part of your life. That's a part. If it's not, you're not sitting here.
Well, it's
Yeah.
impressive that you're saying this even after your top 3 scorers from last season
Yeah.
hit the portal.
Yeah, yeah. Losing Luke Abdalovich really hurts, but Luke would hurt us a little defensively too. It really we struggle to stay in front of guys. We struggle to rebound. Even with Keelan Boone, we really struggle rebounding. We struggle defensively. I think we'll be better defensively with this group we have. We're a little more athletic. We got some toughness. We got to find who's going to be able to make big shots when it's on, who we're running things for. But collectively, I like this group. I do. I like them. And we'll take this 8th place prediction and see what we can do with it. Yeah, see what we can do with it. Yeah.
Stockton's like the league when it was in the Big West, when you guys were in the Big West.
Yeah.
Super competitive. And obviously it's a step up in level of
It is.
competition. And you need the investment in it. How far away do you think you are from being able to legit compete at that top of this league?
If you're asking me competitively, Doug, last year we're tied at half with Gonzaga with 4 to go. It's a 2-possession game. Down the stretch, Strather hits a bomb to stretch it out. We felt like it was within our grasp. I don't think we're far. I'm not a guy that looks for all the things we don't have. I try to capitalize on what we do have. We got to play with a chip on our shoulder. We can't beat a junior college team if we aren't playing on edge. If we're playing on edge, I don't think there's a team in our league we can't get.
Okay, but what about the idea that you kind of have to rebuild it every year?
We do.
Right?
We do. That's part of your job. That's part of your job. Sitting here crying about it ain't going to help it. You better know who's out there, JC, prep school, transfer. You better know everybody that's out there and where they are and what they're doing and how much interest they have in you. And just like the old Mark working team way, you better have a list of 20 at each position at all times.
Be prepared.
Be prepared.
What's this opportunity been like for you? I mean, obviously, it kind of came across, with Damon leaving and you getting it at this point in your career.
Yeah.
What was this like for you?
Honestly, Jeff, it's been like a dream come true because Damon and I were friends. When he called me, I was just fine at Colorado State. And he said, hey, man, come. We're going to blow this thing up. I'm going to get something. You're going to get this job.
Is that what he said?
That's exactly what he said.
He did.
So
It worked.
I came. Luckily, things happened the right way. And he
worked out
moved
for both
on,
of you.
and it ended up happening. So I'm very lucky. It's a lot of fun. We got a great new AD. And
When you're coaching, and you've done this for a long time, who do you most feel like you resemble in terms of your approach?
Larry allowed me to be me. I worked for him, but he allowed me to be me. I was always the best version of me. I had to do it the way Coach wanted it done, but he felt like we were better when I was myself. So I heard an athletic director, Ted Leland, who I had breakfast with the other day, say, when you hire a coach, you're hiring who he worked for, period. So there are parts of Larry that are always going to be a part of me. But I've been fortunate enough, Damon Stoudemire let me be me. I've been fortunate enough to kind of be myself.
So do you press up on ball screens that go under the way Larry did?
No, we're not. We're not going to. We call it 200.
200.
We call it 200. We're not.
Nobody does that anymore. That thing is hard.
Unless
with where the line is now,
it
I think
is.
that'd be hard.
Well, and guys are shooting.
Do you guys know what we're talking about? No. Okay, so Larry Stacey had a couple unique things that he did, and he would do what's called 2 under. So in ball screens, there's a bunch of ways. What they would do is, your set of screen, they'd push up. Their big guy would push up and try and push you out as far as you could, and then they go underneath.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Normally, when you go under, the big guy leaves space, and you go kind of in between, but the screener kind of can move on it, and so it dares you to shoot. This is daring you to shoot, but you have to shoot over your big guy because they can meet you on the other side. It's a very unique style. And then the other thing he does is he's big on sprinting back to the paint, but with the 3-point shot, one of the ways you could beat a Larry Stacey coach team was throw it up early, because now all of a sudden they're scattered because they're always running back to the paint and then have to run. Is that accurate?
That is accurate. That's very accurate. We still do it, actually.
Oh, yeah. But he makes the most layups wins, so it's still a great philosophy.
No question.
Tyler Beard and Mo Odom.
Yeah.
In the Almanac, the publication that we put out, you talked them up, called them guys that could end up having a big year for you this year. What are you seeing from them in practice? What have you seen from them so far in the fall?
Well, Mo, I love Doug will tell you, like, every time we've had a guard from New York, he's been unbelievable. I love those guys. I don't know what it is. They see life differently. They process differently. They're fearless. But I love Mo, and I believe that Tyler's going to have a big year as well. Those guys can deck it. They can put it on the floor. They can get their own. They're tough. They're scratchy. They're grindy. They're fearless, and they can make big shots. So I love them. I think they're going to bring a lot to the table, and I think they'll cause problems in our league. I do. I agree with that assessment.
So you finished 7-9 last year in the league. You finished in 5th place. What needs to happen for you guys to make that leap, get up? Where we look up in February, and it's like, you know what, they got a shot.
You know, we're tied for 5th last year, and we gift at LMU up 11 with 2 to go. Just gift wrapped it. I like Stan a lot, but I don't like giving those gifts away. I've slept with it all summer. We win that game, we finish in 4th. We're picked dead last. So, you know, those kind of things gnaw. You guys know coaches. It gnaws at you forever. We're really close to it. We feel like we're going to be close again. There's going to be a lot of parity between 3 and 9 in our league. The top 2 are going to be great. And we got to find our way in that mix. And when we get a chance to put a team away, we got to put a team away.
All right. Leonard, thanks,
Gentlemen,
man. Great seeing you.
Appreciate
Great
it.
Good seeing you.
Thank you, man. Always
Good luck
a pleasure,
this
Doug.
season. I want to see that scout.
Yeah, I can give it to you anytime.
Oh, man, that's crazy.
It's always interesting on how things end, right? Didn't end well for you, Stacey, at Colorado State, but it was great there for a while. And then when he was at Iowa State, they were unbelievable. And we always felt like that guy's as good a coach as anybody who's literally ever done it.
You Stacey?
Yeah, he was really good, really good, and unique and different. Hard driving. Didn't he helping somebody this year?
I don't remember if he is. I don't know. But he and Tim Floyd, man, boys.
Tim Floyd's a hell of a coach.
Tim Floyd was a great coach.
Really good. Really good.
He would try new shit all the time.
Well, they would do this thing where they called hands-off defense, and their guys were like programmed, and they go hands off, hands off, hands off, hands off, hands off, and it almost would convince the officials to not call fouls because they were saying hands off. But they would face guard your best player, but never put their hands on you. Just go hands off, hands off, hands off, hands off. Weird.
Grab Shantay.
What's up?
Waiting on Shantay Legans here.
To stop talking to Sean Farnham.
Hey, Farnham, leave him alone.
All right, go ahead. He's coming here. He's coming over here. Yeah, he's coming next. What's up, man? How are you?
How you doing?
Shantay Legans, Portland head coach. How are you?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having us. Yeah, this is awesome.
Yeah, no, this has been great. This has been great to be at, and honestly, I hope it's been good for you guys too.
Oh man, the most important thing is good for the players, right? They're loving life.
No doubt.
They're feeling big time, especially my guys.
How you guys going to be this year?
I think we'll be pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to think that, right?
You better go in.
We bet if you're going in not thinking you're good, that's tough. But I think we'll be good. I like our team. I like some depth and the size we got. So I'm really feeling good about it.
Tyler Robertson.
Yeah.
Was named preseason All WCC. Averaged 16 points, 5 boards, 5 assists last year. About as well rounded as it can get. How can you take a next step there? Where do you want to see him get better?
Well, you want to see him get better in every facet of the game. But for us, we're going to have to keep him fresh. Last year, he played 30-plus minutes, 35-plus minutes a game. I think we wore him out. I think we wore him down towards the end of the year, and I believe that now with some of the players that we have behind him and some players next to him, I think he'll be able to finish the season and be able to do that throughout the whole year. I mean, last year, me and him have a joke. He was trying to come out of a game last year against BYU. I said, if you come out of the game, you got to find a new school. No, but we got to keep him. We got to keep him fresh this year. And last year, I don't think I did a good job of that.
You've done a hell of a job with this program since taking it over. What needs to happen to even take that next step, right? I mean, everybody's looking for the same thing in this league, right? It's Gonzaga, it's St. Mary's, and everybody's got the same approach. I need to be third.
Yeah.
Which is crazy to think that way, but that's reality, right?
It's reality, but, you go into the season, I mean, you gotta want to be first, and that's what you're shooting for.
But I think everybody's shooting third first.
Yeah,
and then
shooting third.
If you can, you know what I mean? Like,
no, I'm with you. You got Gonzaga, who's been great. I mean, Hall of Fame coach. I mean, they have their thing going there. You have St. Mary's, who's been doing it for, he's been doing it for a long time. Coach Bennett's been doing it. I mean, he recruited me, and he's been doing it, and he has the same formula every year. Maybe a little different taste every now and then, but he has the same formula. And so you want to get to where they were at. When you look at the beginning of their careers or the beginning of Coach Bennett's careers, it wasn't great, but he got it there. And so that's what you're trying to do. You want to get to where those programs are at. Yeah, you want to shoot for third, but first or second, and you're trying to get to the NCAA tournament. That's the main goal, right? And so however you can do that, that's what you got to do. You got to fight to get there. You got to claw to get there. You do got those big dogs, but you got to be able to want to challenge them.
So how do you with scheduling? Because that's like the key right now too. It's like everybody wants you to schedule up.
Yep.
And it sounds great in theory.
Yeah.
Now it's hard, number one, to get games. Number two, you got to be careful.
Yeah.
You got to be ready to be able to schedule up.
Yeah.
Right. So how do you approach that?
Well, you want to play the best teams you possibly can, right? Especially if you're saying you're going to be at third, fourth, you got to be able to have a great. When San Francisco went there fourth place, but Santa Clara was third, they leapfrogged them because of their schedule and who they beat and played. And so that's a big deal of it. But then when you're trying to get teams to play you, some teams don't want to play against a team that shoots a lot of threes. Some teams don't want to play against a guy bringing back Tyler Roberts.
PK80, dangerous.
And that hurts you. And so you try to find the games, and sometimes just like, well, and then you're looking for games you don't want to play, but you have to play. And so it puts you in a tough spot. And luckily I've had Scott Lakem, our athletic director. He's helped with that a little bit. He's done scheduling for the WCC. And so we found a pretty good schedule this year of games. We're playing some of the top mid-major schools. We're playing in the Diamond Head Classic this year. And so you have a good schedule behind you. You just got to handle your business.
So we all know about Tyler, right? Who's that next guy? Who do we need to be talking about a little bit more? Who have you seen the most improvement from?
We got a couple guys. I mean, Chris Austin, 15 points a game the year before, broke his leg. He's coming back healthy. He's done a lot of good things for us. I mean, he helped rebound. He does a lot of things. He's our toughness. We didn't have him last year. He redshirted the whole year. I thought he could have came back last year in the middle, but him and our family, his family talked about it. Just didn't seem right. So it was good to have him out. It's good to have him back this year. I think Noah Jordan, who's here with us today, again another kid from West Virginia State, very good player, gets a lot of things done. And so you have some guys that you really could put your hat on. And Juanze Gorosito, who was on the all freshman team last year, fiery guy, shoots threes, probably one of the best shooters in the country. If you go, if you watch his shot and how he plays, I think he's going to have a breakout year this year. He should. But you have some guys like that behind that I think could really help our team this year.
All right. If I, especially, as a mid-major guy, if I'm putting you in charge of NCAA and you can make one change, what is it? What would you change?
Man.
It even could be something on the court. It could be a rule, but I'm looking probably more overall, bigger picture.
I can go with the FIBA. You just go off FIBA rules. Make it easy.
That'd be easy.
That'd be easy. I think a lot of the stuff is what's going on with NCAA. It's improving a lot of things. I know there's a lot of, eye raises and different things like that, but it's also making people think, and it's putting us in position to figure out what we need to do to make our game and to make the game better for college athletes and make the game a better sport for overall. And so, there's some things you would do. It's just hard because I've been in it so long as a player, as a coach. And so, there's just some things you'd want to change. I love the NIL stuff for the players. I think that's going to all get regulated soon and be able to figure itself out. So I think that's something you have to do. The transfer portal, I wish they'd make the kids stay until their sophomore years, then make their decision to
that.
go wherever
I
they
like
want to
that.
go.
That
Because as a freshman, it's like there's
one if you're gonna
so many Zions. There's so many freshmen that are going to make huge impacts. I know that's what they're told when they're recruiting, but I think they should be able to see what it's like for 2 years and then transfer as many times as you want to transfer after that, because you're about 21 years old and you can make any decision you want. And I think that'd be something I'd want to change. After your sophomore year, you should be able to figure it out, but you have to stay your first 2 years to see if it all works out. I think that's something I think I would change. Make them stay their first 2 years.
All right, if we look up in February and Portland's right there, we're talking about them, Gonzaga, and St. Mary's pushing for the WCC title. Why does that happen? What is it about this group? What needs to happen for you guys to be in
We've
that
done
mix?
a great job on the defensive end and rebounding the ball. I think offensively, we'll always be there because of the way we play. I think it always gives us an opportunity in games, but what's going to get us over the hump is us if we can rebound and do the toughness things on the defensive end. I think that's where, our next step is as a team. That's where we've taken it before as a program. I've taken it to the NCAA tournament before. We took that step, so that's the next step for us if we want to be considered one of the top 4 teams in our league year in and year out. We have to rebound, we have to defend, we have to be tough.
So, true or false, somebody said Eddie House hung like 60 on you once. Is that true?
I have the film, double overtime. I also had my career high that game. I was a young freshman at 18.
Were you a freshman?
I was a freshman. He did have 61 points. He didn't break Lou Alcindor's record. He tied it. All right. That's Kareem for everybody who don't know. That's the claim to fame. And then
what'd you have? How many did you have?
I had 28,
right,
28 or 30, but it was a double overtime game. So, back then we used to go and watch the game and make fun of each other when games happen like that. Guys don't do it as much now.
Yeah.
He only scored on me in overtime, and it was all free throws. I fouled the hell out of him. But he did. He did have 61, and he did that. I still hear it from my players now when it comes back.
Really?
Those basketball tweets that come on?
Yeah.
I get them sent from about the
Really?
whole yes. And
They'll kill you?
It kills me every time I see it. 61 points is a lot of points. But he had it going that day. That's why you don't want to bring guys that are from there back to their hometown to play games, because crazy things can happen.
Especially
and he was
right?
something else. Yeah.
Oh,
But
he
yeah,
could
no.
get it going, couldn't he?
Can't believe you asked that.
Unconscious.
Hope no one's watching.
Listen, great
Thank
seeing
you guys.
my man.
Appreciate
Great
you guys
seeing
having me.
Good seeing you,
Thank
man,
you guys.
too.
Thank you
Take
very
care.
much. Tell Doug, it's all good.
I don't know where he went. It's all right. It's Doug. Don't take it personally. It's Doug, man. You got it. All right, so we're just waiting for
Lorenzo Romar and our marathon 8-hour live
Yeah,
stream.
marathon. It was a marathon. I mean, listen, 8 hours with you. You didn't even get me a coffee this morning.
I think everybody would agree that spending 8 hours with me is significantly easier than spending 8 hours with you.
That could be true. Yes, that might be accurate. Doug's got him. Where is he?
He should be almost done. He's right there.
Oh. Okay. What's up? Yeah, let's do it. Come on.
Yeah, come on, sit down, man.
How are you? Jeff Goodman. How are you? Everything good?
What's going on, man? Good to see you.
Yeah, I'm
the mic. Mic's hot. We're all live.
Yeah, huge fan of the show.
Thanks, man. Thanks.
My
We
room and I
appreciate it.
used to watch it like all the time my freshman year.
Really?
Yeah, like on the weekend after practice, something like that, we would turn it on. Or sometimes we'd
We have
go to
fun.
sleep.
As you know, we have
Yeah, I
fun
know.
with it. We like to kind of, mess around a little bit, but also, inform as much as we can. All right, so I've known Romar forever. You will not find a better human being than Lorenzo Romar. What's it like to play for him?
He's the best. Just kind of how you say it, like great human being, really respectful. Anything you go to him about, whether it be on the court, off the court stuff, he really cares about all his players. It's bigger than basketball for him, and it's like everybody who knows Romar or says something to Romar, it's like we'll be in the airport or something, and some random person from like a UCLA fan or something like that will come up to him and be like, man, like I remember you're at UCLA. He's like, yeah, and he always gives everybody the time of day, so he's awesome.
Max Lewis was a guy that had a lot of hype heading into last year's draft. I believe he was. I can't remember where he ended up going, but what did you? Yeah, what did you? Yeah, what did you see out of him last year that you're trying to take to your game? Like, how you saw him take that step.
Yeah.
I'm assuming you want to take that step at some point in your career, right? What did you learn from him?
Max's overall IQ for basketball just got a lot higher, and I would say he was more aggressive in certain situations. His ISO game was very good. He also played in the post, out the post, very good. And he got to the free throw line. That's one of the big things that we talked about, is getting to that free throw line, being able to shoot free throws. It gets you more in a rhythm throughout the game, and that's kind of the big step that I want to take, and a very big jump. But the jump he took from when he first got there to where he's at now was crazy.
So what was last year like? I mean, it couldn't have been easy for you guys because you had talent.
Yeah.
And what happened last year that you kind of learned from, and you guys can say, hey, listen, we're not going to let that happen again?
Yeah, so when I first got there my freshman year, we had some older guys, but as the year went on, they kind of, like, one got kicked off the team and another one got kind of basically quit.
Yep.
So there was never leadership at all. And then going into this past year, we have a huge group of sophomores, as well as like freshmen coming in, very talented. We could score the ball. Scoring the ball was an issue, but the defensive end and the rebounding, we were not good at all. Like, very piss poor. I would say overall we just had an attitude, especially when we won a couple games early on, that we had already did it. We had already won the whole thing. But like, that attitude can't happen. I think our approach this year is a lot different. We bring in Ethan Anderson, who's a fifth-year senior. He's played in the Elite Eight, been to the tournament 3 times. So we just bring in like a lot of veteran leadership, and then that's kind of the role that I can take a step in, having played for the past 2 years. And just learning from Ethan, especially, like, not being able to have one of those guys or one of those leaders is something that like, I take some, like, very true to heart. Like, it's kind of the best basketball thing that could happen to me.
So last year, was it just like you felt too young to be a leader, and now you feel like I have to do it, otherwise we're going to have another year like we did?
Exactly, yeah. Last year was like, I demanded a lot out of myself, but I didn't necessarily demand it from like my closest, my friends.
Well, but it's hard. That's hard when you're trying to figure your own game out.
Exactly.
Right? Like, now I assume you're much more comfortable with your own game.
Yeah, no.
So now you can try to help a little bit more.
But last year was like this cycle of like, how aren't we winning? Like, we look on paper.
We felt that too. Yeah. We're watching and like, surprised.
And that was, it was surprising, but it was also like a good gut check. Like,
you learn.
Humility,
right.
you learn.
Absolutely.
And it's something I think everybody needs to go through in life. Like, you need to lose at times. You need to be able to handle adversity, go through adversity. Yep. And it's been the biggest blessing, biggest teacher. And the grass isn't always green on the other side. It's green where you water it. So just trying to water it every day.
Listen, I go through adversity every day. I got to deal with him.
When you are, when you say you want to be a better shooter, you get in the gym, you get reps up, right? When you say you want to be a better ball handler, you do 2 ball dribbling drills, whatever it is. When you're trying to become a better leader, like, how do you do that? Is it something where you're just consciously trying to be more vocal? Are you talking to guys? Is it just like, okay, I'm sending out the group text, say when team practice is going to be? Like, what? How do you do that?
I would say the biggest thing about being a better leader is really all about sacrifice. When you do lead a team and when you are the leader, you kind of have to look outside of yourself at times. Like, even if you're feeling sad or you're feeling emotions, like, you have to look outside of that and be like, what is best for our team? And it's also about being a leader is just being able to, like, talk to people and have a relationship with people, like, have a relationship with my teammates, understand what my teammates are going through off the court, understanding how I can talk to my teammates, how I can talk to this guy versus how I can talk to that guy. I think it all ties in together. I'm in a sport organizational leadership class, and I've learned so many good gems from coaches. But like, I would just think about, like, if a guy brings $1 to practice every day, I can't ask for $1.25, but I also can't ask for 50 cents. Because either way, I'm hurting. I may be asking too much or I may be asking too little. So it's like, how can I get that $1 out of that guy? And it's just something that honestly has kept me up at night. Being able to just really think about, like, how can I get the most out of this?
There he is.
What's up, Coach?
What's up, Lo?
Yeah.
How are you? Great seeing you.
What's going on, man? Good to see you, Coach. Yeah.
Lorenzo Romar joining us. What a like, really, really good kid.
High level, right?
Not that I expect anything else from anybody you're going to recruit.
Has he already told you about this field 6.
Yeah, he was like
his background with it.
Yeah.
He said he watches. We're
Oh,
like,
yeah.
listen, that's
Yeah.
awesome.
This is probably the thing.
You got to get Romar. You got to get Romar to watch.
Yeah.
He looked forward to doing this one more than anything we've
That's
done.
awesome. That's
I
awesome.
saw it. I was like, man, this is
We
awesome.
appreciate it. We have a blast.
Yeah.
I've known this dude since literally was one of the first coaches ever. I'll give you the story.
He was my scout.
How about this? Ready? We're at ABCD camp, which predates you. But it was awesome. It was like the place to go. Everybody was, all the top players were there, right? This was like LeBron, all those guys were there. So I'm young. I'm like just starting out in the industry, and Ike Diagu's playing. He's a St. Louis at the time.
Beast.
And beast, undersized, just a killer. And so I'm watching. And I go upstairs, right? And I must have talked to Ike. I think he watched me.
I was about 10 yards away.
Yeah, he's watching me. And back then I was covering recruiting, so I would know every player. Yeah. Like I knew every player, everything about every player. I would talk to everybody. So all of a sudden I go up the steps. I'm going up to get the box score or something upstairs. This dude's like trailing me. I'm like,
stalking
what's he doing? Sure enough, I was like, what did he tell you? What did he tell you? That was like the first one of like hundreds of coaches that did that with me. Oh, yeah, everybody would do that. But, man, like I said, man, you are playing with like the best dude in the business. I mean that. You know that. By the way, I finally put it together. I don't know how I didn't. The Porter, is this the youngest Porter?
Not the youngest.
There's one more?
But another one, yeah.
There's one more. You're going to get him too?
There's another one under him. But that he's still in high school.
He is. It finally hit me of the relationship. Obviously I knew it with the dad, but then it hit me again of like crazy.
Yeah.
That relationship, but it dated back that long.
Great family.
Yes, great family. I haven't seen Michael in a while. I kind of want to see him when he comes into Boston.
Yeah.
Because I haven't seen him for a few years. But I love Michael.
Yeah.
That whole family, really. How you doing?
Doing good.
We were talking about leadership.
Uh-huh.
We were talking about last year, which you may want to put past you, but I assume again, you got to learn from that, right? You got to learn.
You keep the memories that will allow you to move forward. Right. They help you move forward. Some of the memories.
Yeah. What happened? Was it mostly a lack of leadership?
I would say that
because you had talent, right?
We were a team that we had some talent, but we didn't understand how to win. We didn't really understand what it took to win. Yeah. And we were in so many games where we were right there. And as we would tell our team, Jeff, well, if we would only did this, if we don't admit you weren't good enough. Yeah. We weren't good enough.
Yeah, you figured that,
can't
right.
win those games, we weren't good enough.
And it was over and over.
But we were competitive. Right. We were right there.
Yeah.
We just didn't value some of the precious things, the precious details that would allow you to pull those games out. And when you talk about looking back at those memories, I point to Houston sometimes. Remember in front of the team, what happened when this happened? How did we lose it? Right. Houston will tell you, if you don't get better at this, you won't pull those games out, so you can draw from that.
He much more comfortable already, Houston, as a leader? Can you see it?
Without question. I told him we had the good fortune to play with some great leaders and to coach some great leaders. And right now, at this point, he's doing as good a job leading this team as any of those guys.
Who's the best leader you ever had?
Brandon Roy and John Brockman.
Brockman was a killer, wasn't he? Talk about a tough dude.
Sidney
was
Moncrief
Brockman? Sidney Moncrief.
Best leader I played with.
Yeah. That doesn't surprise me. Brockman, was he vocal? Was he vocal? I know you don't have to be vocal. I know
he wasn't rah-rah.
Right.
But his actions were the loudest thing you'd ever see in your life.
Really?
He practiced every day like he was trying to make the team
so
or earn a scholarship. Yeah. He's practiced like he was a walk-on.
This dude played so hard.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. He was so much fun to watch.
He knows.
I know all the
you
stories
do?
of Brockman.
Okay, all right. Yeah, I do too. He's one of my favorite players. What else does he need to do? What else have you challenged him to do this year?
To be here
the
entire time.
Yeah.
he is so obsessed with things to go right. He is so obsessed with being the best himself with his team that it bothers him. When you invest that much, it bothers. When you don't invest much, it doesn't bother you that much if it doesn't work out, right? I didn't try anyway. But when you really invest, and there's no one on our team that has invested more in this than him. So when that comes and things don't work out, you still have to just be even keeled that way. And then just becoming a more consistent defender. Everything else, he's at a high level.
Yeah. He was raving earlier about Ethan Anderson and the impact that he's kind of had on the program. You got veteran point guard, mentioned leader. He's been in the NCAA tournament. Have you seen the same thing out of him?
What I've been saying is for the last couple of years since COVID, we've played against a ton of fifth-year senior point guards and fifth-year seniors, and we haven't had any.
Right.
Now we have one. Yeah. And it makes a big difference. You can just see the calm within him in our practices. We had a practice the other day, a scrimmage, and I pointed out the team he had was down. And his message to the team was, we're not going to get all this back right away, guys. We just got to get one stop at a time. I mean, he sounded like a coach. And he's been there. The guys love playing with him. The guys really like him. He hasn't played a game. They voted him, along with Houston, who was our captain last year, as co-captains. So that tells you a lot about Ethan. He's just someone that, again, we've had so many conversations. When Houston came in as a freshman, and even last year, he didn't have the luxury that a lot of kids have where you can come in, even when you're on a new job. You just look around at those that have been around there for a while, and you just learn stuff because they know the law of the land, the lay of the land.
There was nobody there.
There was no one there. Well, Houston's looking, and the rest of these guys, Ethan's providing some of that with these guys because of his experiences. He's played in an Elite Eight. He's been in the NCAA tournament. He's played with great players and understands what sacrifice means and selflessness and all of that. So he's been a very, very valuable addition.
Lo, what do you think when you see, you've been in this a long time, longer than me, where the sport is right now? What do you think?
The sport itself is fine.
Yeah.
The game of basketball.
Right. I don't mean that. Yeah, I don't mean the game itself. I mean everything else.
The college basketball mindset off the court, I think, is a problem. You could see it as a problem, but 50 years ago, 60 years ago, they'd see people later. I mean, my parents thought the way we grew up was a problem.
Yeah, of course.
Because it's a different generation. You know, is it the generation? Times have changed? Or is the self-absorbed athlete with everyone telling them all feeding these crazy thoughts, is that just making the game? Is it taking the fun out of it? I think the players now don't realize how much fun they're missing from how the way the game used to be.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Like.
I would
They
agree.
don't know what it's like back
Well,
then. They hear the
because
stories.
so much is based on, like you said, you know, the input they get, social media, right? Like, what do you do? I mean, you literally, I'll do a Celtics game, locker room after the game. What's every player doing? They're looking at their social media.
Yeah.
Instead of like, no, you
Even
know,
at halftime.
did you play well? Did you not? Like, who cares what they're saying? Doesn't matter.
Yeah,
But I think that's just like, now it's just clockwork where that's what they're, too many kids are focused. Not all of them, but too many. And the ones that aren't, they stand out. Like I've said that over the years. Like the guys that don't have social media, I'm like, if I was a coach, I'd be all over recruiting those dudes. Right. You know what I mean? Because you're just more focused. I'm not saying like, don't use social media ever, but the ones who are posting all the time and everything like that,
It's a losing battle to compare yourself to what you see on social media.
Right.
Because people are putting their best foot forward.
Yeah.
You're not going to win that one. You're always going to feel less than.
Yeah, no, it's changed. It's changed. Some for the better. What, you like NIL? To some degree?
I love NIL for the players.
Yeah.
I think it's awesome. But if you start talking about everything, every rule I've ever talked about or been talked to about with the NCAA, if it's a gray area, ask yourself this question. Is it giving you an unfair advantage? If it is, it's probably a violation.
Right.
Well, the NIL is the biggest unfair advantage I've ever seen.
Yeah, because the rules are
Where
different.
If that program has the means to provide legally all these funds, kids transfer now, and they love the program they're in. They got no reason to transfer, with the exception of one thing.
Yeah, and
I can make six figures if I leave.
And it's hard to tell them not to, right? I mean, if you were a kid, you know, you were growing up.
Shouldn't leave. Oh,
what would you have done?
Can you break me off with some of this that you're getting? You know, can you give me some of the money then?
Right. Right.
So
no, it's hard, right? Like obviously, you know, you're in it, and it's one of those things where it's like, is that the best decision for you, or you're going for the money, right?
No,
like,
exactly.
and you got to balance them. I mean, hopefully, you're making the right decision for you.
But you know, I still think if you're going to get $200,000 or whatever you're going to get, if you're going to get that with the intention of, I'm going to get that, I'm going to invest it, I'm going to start my own business, and that's how I'm going to get my head started in life. Okay. But if you're doing it just for the money
And then
at the time,
just- and
and
then
the
just-
basketball situation is poor,
Yeah.
I think it's a short-sighted
Agreed.
decision.
1000%.
Because regardless of how much money it seems it's there, that's going to be gone pretty quickly.
Especially after taxes.
Yeah, exactly.
Especially after
Exactly.
taxes.
All right, listen. Great seeing you guys. Great meeting you.
Thank you.
And anytime you want to come on, all right?
Oh, awesome.
Anytime.
Appreciate
you let
it.
us know.
Big fan, big
Love,
fan.
great
He'll
seeing
take
man.
you up on that, Jeff.
No, he's
Okay.
on. Listen,
All right.
man, this dude speaks way better than this dude.
That is very true. That is very true.
All right, listen. Great to see you. Yeah, not in a little while, not in a minute. Yeah, I owe him a call. With the season starting, I owe him a call. Yeah, but great to see you. We'll talk soon.
See you, man. Listen, this has been Field of 68 live from WCC Media Day and Mountain West Media Day. We made it.
We
8
did. We
hours.
made it.
We survived. I don't know how we pulled it off,
I know.
but we did. Now
we're signing off, Hummel.
Now we're
signing off.
We gotta make a run.
It was
for
in
'cause
between
Hummel is
us.
showing up over
You
here
didn't hear
again.
us. All right,
that would have been great. WCC Media Day. We'll see you guys. I don't even know when. Next week, some point later.